Good morning on this beautiful English morning, American evening. Joining me in Washington, D.C. is my panel, former Chief of Staff Marco Rubio, Matt Terrell, and the former Obama policy advisor Laurie Watkins. And in London, political commentator Stella Chantakidou and GBNews contributor and comedian Paul Cox. Good evening to you both. Good morning. Thank you for your company. Appreciate it. Right, let's move on to our main news this evening. President Trump has praised incoming Prime Minister Andy Burnham over plans to reportedly speed up existing North Sea oil and gas projects. The US President claimed people in Aberdeen in Scotland were dancing in the streets, saying the move would unlock Britain's energy potential. But while Burnham is expected to fast-track previously approved developments, Labour actually haven't signalled a return to issuing new drilling licences. With me now is Republican strategist Matthew Hurt. Matthew, hello. What's your take on this? President Trump, I fear, hasn't understood potentially the full picture because he thinks we're just going to be drilling for liquid gold under our feet, Matthew. What's his game, do you think?
Well, Ben, the first point here is I think President Trump wants a reset with the British government, and I think he's going to get that with Andy Burnham later today. Obviously, he had a notoriously cold relationship with Sir Keir Starmer. But what's important to note, and something that you noted on the show last night, was that a lot of the projects that Andy Burnham has signaled that he's going to engage in were approved in the previous government before Labour took power in the last election. President Trump's long-running feud with wind turbines includes a serious disagreement with the way they look from the golf courses that he owns there in Scotland. I do think this is an important reset for the special relationship between Great Britain and the United States, but I'm not sure this is quite the U-turn that Andy Burnham is making it seem like it will be as he heads into lead government later today.
Yes, let me read you President Trump's Truth Social post. He said the people of Aberdeen in Scotland are dancing in the streets because the new Prime Minister, Andy Burnham, has stated he will be opening up all the way the invaluable North Sea oil. He said, President Trump, also, word is that the UK is going to move the old and horrible-looking windmills which loom over and destroy the city of Aberdeen. That will be a big day for the country and will very much be appreciated by everybody. Such great potential in the UK, but it all starts with opening North Sea oil. And he signed off, Matthew, such great potential. We love you, Scotland. So there we go. Do you get the feeling the administration here in America is keen to reset relations, and Keir Starmer's gone, all the types who campaigned for, say, Kamala Harris in Pennsylvania, pre-election even, prior to 2024, they just want to focus now on restarting the relationship, Matthew?
I think you're absolutely right, Ben. I think this is an opportunity to restart. And with President Trump's post on Truth Social, it may even be an opportunity to nudge Burnham's government further in the correct direction, which is drill, baby, drill, and explore all of the opportunities that are available to the people of Great Britain.
OK, interesting. Alison Wilson on gbnews.com/your say has said, I think Trump will quickly go off Burnham too. It will be like a cat playing with a mouse. Is she right?
I think President Trump wants somebody that he can work with. This is a special relationship, and I think let's give it a week or two. Let the incoming Prime Minister measure the drapes in number 10 before we jump too far into the skeptical side. I do think President Trump wants a strong ally in Great Britain, and this is a wonderful opportunity for a reset. We'll see if the policies play out the way that President Trump expects them to.
Yeah, let's see what happens. Matthew, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Great seeing you again, my friend, Republican strategist Matthew Hurt. Thank you very much. Let's get the thoughts of my panel. Former Chief of Staff to Marco Rubio, Matt Terrell, by the way, your old boss, with a barnstorming speech in the last couple of days. We'll touch on that shortly. Former Obama policy advisor Laurie Watkins, and in London, political commentator Stella Chantakidou, and GBNews superstar, fan favourite, house husband's favourite, Paul Cox. Good morning to you all. Thank you very much. Laurie, I'll start with you. Do you get the feeling President Trump is completely aware of who Burnham is and his politics? I mean, arguably, he's far more left than Keir Starmer was.
I'm sure that Donald Trump is going to try to play nice with him, but I do agree with the woman that said it would be like a cat playing with a mouse. That's what I kind of see.
Alison, yeah. Was it Alison?
I would agree with that. We'll see what happens. I think he'll give it a shot, but I think that Donald Trump thinks most people are weaker than him, or not as strong as him, or not as intelligent than him, or whatever. So he's not going to think as highly of him as he does himself.
Stella, do you think the Americans, well, same question for the Brits as well, do you think this relationship is important anymore as it used to be? Do you think President Trump really cares if he's got a good relationship with whoever's in number 10?
I think that the relationship between the UK and the USA has been weakening over a very long time, and I think it's good for both the UK and the rest of Europe to realize that this is starting to deteriorate. I don't think that Trump is going to be the final nail on the coffin at all, because I think that foreign policy is something that is being seen on hundreds of years of time, is being planned rather, and I think that Donald Trump, the way that he's speaking, frankly, I hope that Andy Burnham is going to ignore whatever he's saying, and I hope that he just goes on with whatever policies he thinks are suitable for the UK, without worrying about the tantrums that Donald Trump is going to throw, without worrying about his erratic behavior and his opinions, which at the end of the day are only meant to serve not just the interest of the US, but frankly just the interest of his own personal career.
Yeah, well, Stella, can I ask you, what do you think of Burnham's stance on North Sea? Bit of a U-turn from Keir Starmer. What do you make it? I mean, I assume you're a Labour voter. Apologies if
Sorry, I can't hear you super well.
What do you make?
Whose stance?
On Burnham's stance on the North Sea. What do you make of his stance on the North Sea as a Labour voter?
Burnham's stance on the North Sea. I'm personally in favour of drilling. I'm in favour of extending drilling, not because it's going to solve our problems. This is what I find so annoying about the way that Donald Trump is speaking about this issue. Donald Trump is speaking about drilling in the North Sea as if it's going to solve our energy problems. It is not going to solve our energy problems. The reason why I think that it is good that Burnham is more positive about this, and we will see exactly what he's going to say. Over the weekends, we just had speculation and briefings and counter briefings and then U-turns. Let's just wait and see what the Prime Minister is going to say, what the new Prime Minister is going to say. I want him to give the green light for more drilling in the North Sea, but it's not going to solve our problems. And this is where I think that the intervention from Donald Trump is so negative. I think that it makes the problem worse. I think that it makes it politically more difficult to take good decisions.
Yeah, Paul Cox, the Treasury, a report from the Treasury found that opening up drilling in the North Sea again would generate enough tax revenue, £18 billion, for example, to fund our armed forces. It would be sought by the MOD, for example, for military programmes. £18 billion. I mean, it's not a measly amount of money. It's pretty decent.
No. Here's one thing it's not going to do. It's not going to cause us any harm whatsoever. We must open up all revenue streams, fuel sovereignty streams available to the UK. We're entirely reliant on Europe, who are reliant on Russia. We're not getting a tremendous amount of oil and fuel from the United States or America, who do have fuel sovereignty. Net zero will drive us into the ground, in fact, to the point that it's likely to start harming the nation, if not killing members of our nation. Yeah, exactly. So I was trying not to scare people at 10 past midnight as here in London. But you're absolutely right, Ben. It's quite terrifying, actually. And I think what we're going to see is an about turn from Ed Miliband as well. Ed Miliband, it has been sort of ideologically a green zealot, but I think whatever he's doing next for Andy Burnham, who he seems to admire greatly, will require him to drop some of those ideals. But going back to what Stella was saying, of course, there is a little bit of gamesmanship going on from Donald Trump, shall we say. I'm sure he does want the Brits to drill, and I'm sure he wants to be involved in that contractually as well. And as a capitalist, I see no issues with that at all. And it benefits everybody, doesn't it? If it benefits the UK and it benefits our allies in the United States of America, then it benefits everybody.
Yeah, and also, Matt, I probably think as well, from a Trump ego point of view, he's been banging Starmer for a couple of years now for not drilling in the North Sea, and he probably wants to take a bit of credit, maybe behind the scenes, saying, look, I told them to do that, and now Andy Burnham's doing it.
Well, look, if Keir Starmer would have taken President Trump's advice, he may not be former Prime Minister Keir Starmer, but the current Prime Minister. He's just got a few hours left, obviously, in office. So I think that's a huge mistake by Keir Starmer not to take President Trump's advice on this. I think Andy Burnham is making a wise choice. Obviously, he could go further in terms of pushing for issuing new licenses, but this is a strong first step here. I think absolutely drilling in the North Sea, it's critical, but a big part of this, I think, for President Trump is national security. We've talked about time and again President Trump pushing countries like the UK to do more on spending for national defense. This is a big national security issue. You cannot be secure as a country, truly, unless you have energy security, energy independence. And I think doing this helps the UK move towards be more reliant on their own energy sources, not on foreign energy sources. So the bottom line here, this is a good step by Andy Burnham, but it's just a step. More needs to be done, obviously.
Great stuff. What a great evening. Keir Starmer is going in a matter of hours. Argentina have just been defeated in the World Cup final. God is great. The world is healing. Nature is healing. Fantastic. I'm in a great mood. Guys, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Jay has said on your say, get a sovereign wealth fund up and running, as Reform have talked about, and get on with unlocking our own energy resources. Start drilling, start fracking, create jobs, boost investment, put Britain back in control of its own energy future. Yes, Jay, thank you. Right, still ahead on The Late Show Live tonight.
Let's make sure it's boldly, confidently, authentically Labour, that we're the party that people remember, on their side and working hard for them.
Well, talking of the new man, Andy Burnham, let's see who his new Chancellor may be. We'll throw some names in the hat. And also, is a general election looming? We'll be getting stuck into that in just a sec. Don't go anywhere.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Here at GB News, we made a promise to tell your stories. And on the 6th of August, we're marking 5 years of doing exactly that.
Celebrate with us by having your say. Join in the debates live on TV and radio.
And meeting your favourite presenters across the country, from Leeds to Aberdeen, from Belfast to Barry Island.
Plus, join me in Essex for our biggest live show of the year. Scan the QR code or visit gbnews.com/celebrate. Terms and conditions apply.
From court mornings
to warm family brunches,
from football to tennis, in the car,
in the kitchen,
GB News Breakfast is there with the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again
to start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way. You will not want to miss it, trust me.
The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Andy Burnham will promise to give people more breathing room in his first speech as Prime Minister later today, saying Britain needs a more stable and responsible politics. I mean, it sounds like the stuff we've heard time and time again, but the incoming PM is expected to focus on easing cost of living pressures while promising tangible improvements for voters. He'll also begin unveiling his first cabinet and set out his priorities for government. So just what can the great British public expect as we enter into the Burnham era, including who will his Chancellor be? And let's ask this question to former Labour MP Stephen Pound. Stephen, good morning. Thank you for your company. Will he call a general election, Stephen?
Well, of course, no more than Liz Truss did or anybody else actually changed it. Nobody calls a general election unless they absolutely have to. And the reality is that no political party that's changed its leader in midstream has ever called a general election. So we ain't going to start now. There's more important things to do. We're not one of those parties that believes in performative politics against, Count Binface in Clacton. We're not going to anything like that. What we're interested in is actually getting the job done. And Andy is actually the man to do it.
OK, well, I agree with you on that. I don't think you can have people like Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak and whoever becoming Prime Minister without a general election, and then those on the right of the argument complain that Andy Burnham is now PM. That's just how it goes, unfortunately. But I mean, we can't really talk about Clacton as by-election going on. But who's Burnham's Chancellor going to be?
Well, we don't know. I mean, my tip, and I have to say, I've got the kiss of death here. I must admit, I have to say, I thought Norway were going to win the World Cup, but the reality is, I thought it was going to be John Healey, because that would have been such a cool move. Because John Healey, obviously an incredibly important Defence Minister and Secretary of State, and he's obviously had his big battles with the Treasury, would have been a good call. The word on the street is it's going to be Shabana Mahmood, and I have to say, the word on the street again in the markets was that it was very, very positive. Personally, I think Ed Miliband is highly qualified for the job, but he's doing such crucial work, and the priceless, important, life-saving work we're doing to achieve net zero and get the Russian boot off our necks. That I think let's let him carry on doing that crucial, important work.
Yeah, well, Andy Burnham says he's going to give British people, quote, more breathing room and tackle the cost of living. I mean, we've heard it all before. Does it mean anything anymore, Stephen? It just sounds like political claptrap.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I remember Boris Johnson coming in and saying the first thing he was going to do is to level up. And a lot of politicians have done. I think we recognise the reality is, Ben, that we are one of the most centralised countries in Europe. Local people, and I've been in politics, elected politics for about 30, 40 years. Local people on my patch don't feel they have any say in their own lives. They don't feel they have any say in politics. They think that 70% of local government expenditure is all predestined, pre-ordered. They don't feel that they can make decisions. Now, I think that's one of the most crucial things that any leader of this country can do. Actually return a bit of power to people locally. I'm not a great admirer of the federal system they have in America or in Germany, but it actually works far, far better than the man, and it's usually the man in Whitehall knowing best. People on the street, people on the patch have got to feel they've got some skin in the game. They've got to feel that they're involved. And if you do that, if things get a lot better. At the moment, to be honest, I mean, good God, you're a pretty astute political journalist. You know the score. People don't feel engaged. And I think that's one of the key things that Andy Burnham is going to go for.
Well, no, because everybody keeps lying to them. They keep saying cost of living will go down. They keep saying they'll stop the boats. They keep saying that crime will go down. They keep saying they'll be able to buy houses. They keep doing U-turns. One minute they're robbing pensioners, and the next they're U-turning, then they're robbing farmers, then they're U-turning. How can you expect the British public to believe or trust politicians when your lot have behaved as they have?
Robbed farmers. Net immigration is the lowest it's been for 25 years. The boats are stopping. We've got far, far less immigration.
Where are you getting that from, Stephen? What immigration? Sorry, what immigration is the lowest in 25 years?
I'm sorry. Immigration, legal and illegal immigration to this country has gone down by 80% in the last 2 years. Fact. But as for your point earlier on about Donald Trump...
You've just said legal and illegal. So what do you mean? You pick one or the other? They can't have both gone down.
No,
you're combining...
I
mean, where did you get that from?
Listen, mate, when you feel...
I'm not letting you get away with that. You've just plucked that out of thin air thinking, I'll let it go. What has gone down by 80%? It's not true.
The ONS statistics, which are publicly available, the last, admittedly, are 3 months out of date, but the latest one, 3 months ago, show quite clearly that since 2024, legal and illegal totality of migration has actually declined massively.
I'll tell you why legal migration's gone down. Stephen, and you know this. Why has legal migration gone down? I'll give you one chance to answer before I reveal the answer.
Quite simply because the idea that people could actually bring in their dependents, I mean 16 and 17 people who are members of the family, also on student visas or on temporary visas, that has
and also rates are leaving en masse.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry.
Brits are leaving. I think 250,000 Brits left the nation because they were so disgusted with the way Keir Starmer governed things in his very short and miserable premiership. Tens of thousands of them leaving the UK. That's why net migration's gone down legally.
You're plucking this fact out of the air. How do you know that 250,000 people...
Well, you can talk, Stephen. Come on.
Yeah, that's my job, mate. People might want to go and live in the sun. They want to go and live in Australia. They want to live anywhere. You haven't spoken to 250... Or maybe you have spoken to 250,000 people. But there's nowhere on God's green earth you can say that every single one of those people who left the country has left it quite simply because they were actually disgusted with what's happening here. People, marry people...
Well, if they were happy in the UK, they would have stayed in the UK. Last question, Stephen, if you don't mind. What does it say about the Labour Party that you couldn't find somebody amongst your crop of 400 MPs who won in a massive landslide, backed by the great British people in July 24, that not one of them was competent enough or capable enough to be picked for your new leader as Prime Minister?
Well, because we had somebody who was at that particular time, he was outside the tent, who was more than competent, more than capable, and above all, a person who can actually bring optimism and hope into this country. That's what we want. When a bit of optimism, we're tired of pessimism, tired of people talking the country down. Let's talk the country up and have a little bit of optimism for a change.
Well, I agree with that, but we'd also like results as well. If you're going to say we're going to stop the boats, then please stop the boats. If you're going to say that energy bills will go down by £300 a year, please make sure that happens.
We are stopping.
Doesn't look like it.
Told us to.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. Get yourself down to Dover, Stephen. Stephen, thank you very much. Appreciate it as always. Have a great rest of your weekend. Stephen Pound, former Labour MP.
Yes.
Right, let's get the thoughts of my panel. Matt Terrell, Laurie Watkins, Stella Chantakidou and Paul Cox. Paul, what did you make of that exchange? Do you trust Andy Burnham? He's got all the hope and the optimism and the buzzwords, and he's going to have tangible effects on people's cost of living. Do we believe it?
No, I don't. But just to clarify what Stephen Pound was saying there, what he took was the post-pandemic statistic, which was the Boris wave of nearly 1 million people. From that position, at its absolute peak, he is right to say we are down by 80%, but 80% of a million is still up by 200,000. So we're down from some ridiculous Boris wave figure, but as a whole, from the baseline that we should be at
as well.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's net as well, because I think off the top of my head, it's a couple of 100,000 Brits have left the UK.
The trend is going down, but the trend is going down from an enormous high and one incredibly inflated high, which was the Boris wave just after the pandemic. Back to Burnham, and Stephen Pound was kind of right, wasn't he? They was just put on some seriously rose-tinted glasses to give us the information. But to go back to the Burnham point, I don't see a change. The only advantage that Andy Burnham got is that he's not Keir Starmer. In terms of his policies, the people that he's building a cabinet around, his advisors, the hope not haters that are getting involved, I see no good coming from any of that. The IMF told us that the UK is now too big to bail out. That is an incredible statement from the IMF, which means that the UK has got to save itself. And the only way the UK can save itself is if it cuts its welfare bill. And how is Andy Burnham going to do that? Because he's riding in on the back of those backbenchers, who he's going to have to tell, if he lasts any longer than 6 months, that they are going to have to all capitulate on all of their policies.
Yeah, well, I hope he does well. I don't care who it is, whether it's a Green, Labour, Tories, Reform, Restore, whoever. I don't care who's in the hot seat. I want them to do well, so I'm not going to pass judgment on Burnham just yet. Will he fail? I don't know, but I don't want him to fail. Stella, what's your opinion on Burnham? Who will be Chancellor, by the way? I'd like to know that.
I think that Stephen Pollard is right. It does look like Shabana Mahmood will be Chancellor tomorrow, which is something that a lot of people will have found very surprising, because Ed Miliband was thought to be the front-runner for a very long time. And he's also seen in the Labour Party as one of the few, the person with the strongest vision, and somebody who both has experience in the Treasury from his time in Gordon Brown's government and later as well. And he is the one who has shown in his department that he's very good at gripping the Whitehall machine and pushing his policy forward. The reason why perhaps that Andy Burnham picks Shabana Mahmood, if he ends up picking Shabana Mahmood, tomorrow. And remember, up until Friday, Andy Burnham has been telling us he has not made a decision as to who he's going to pick for Chancellor. But if he does pick Sabana Mahmood, I think the reason why he would go for that is not just because of the incessant commenting from right-wing papers about how the markets are going to get spooked if he picks Ed Miliband. I don't think that that's the case. I think he would be doing it because Sabana Mahmood has proven through her role in the Home Office that she can't be given a project and she can't be trusted to carry that project forward.
Okay. All right, well, I hope so. I mean, I don't really trust Shabana Mahmood on migration. She was on the beaches of Lesbos just a couple of years ago welcoming migrants into Europe. So I don't know how you can go from doing that to then saying you're going to stamp out migration. Just on migration, I was getting the stats up here when you were both talking. British nationals, 136,000 left the UK. Non-EU net migration, 350,000. So that's why they get the figure so low, because so many Brits, tens of thousands, left the UK. And if the UK was such a great, wonderful place under Keir Starmer, they just quite frankly wouldn't have done that. Matt Terrell, can I ask you please, does the UK, from an American perspective, and I'll ask you, Laurie, in a second as well, does it look like we're in chaos? Because we have 7 prime ministers now in 10 years.
Well, I think from a U.S. perspective, Americans nationwide recognize that there's many challenges in the UK. You know, whether it's with freedom of speech, whether it's with immigration, with your economy, with the fact that your military is struggling in terms of, you know, take for example the size of the Royal Air Force is shrunk. It's the smallest it's been since the end of World War II. You know, these are real challenges taking place in the UK. And as for Andy Burnham, the next few hours will be the best hours of his prime ministership. This is the honeymoon period. But the problem that he has is he does not have a mandate. You get a mandate when you earn it through winning a national election. He didn't do that. So I think he's got a real challenge ahead of him. But obviously, Americans want to see the UK succeed. This is a trusted ally, an important ally of the United States. But there are major challenges that Keir Starmer did not tackle. And on immigration, under Keir Starmer...
Well, today, Starmer wrote a post on X, Paul, you might have seen this, saying that the one question the one question he has for himself on his last day in number 10 is, have I left the country in a better place than I found it? And he said this himself, yes, I have. Laurie, does it look like that to you from glancing across the pond?
Not necessarily, and certainly from sitting in the chair at this desk for almost a year now, no, and hearing everything, and in more detail than I think most Americans here in the U.S. hear on mainstream media. I think you would agree, Ben. It's like not rarely, talked about unless there's some major visit or that the UK has decided not to help the United States with Iran. I think that if Andy Burnham can come in and get some easy wins that can help solidify his trust and confidence with people, building off of what Matt said, because we have an issue here in the United States where there's certain races or certain things going on, even now in a Republican race with Lindsey Graham dying, in Maine with Graham Plattner withdrawing, where people are saying, like, we don't want a Kamala Harris or even back in Hillary Clinton in 2016, right? Where if somebody didn't go through the process and they were the anointed one, or the electors picked somebody but they didn't go through the process fully, like people said about Kamala Harris with Joe Biden, the same with whomever is going to go in with Graham Plattner. In this case, the same kind of thing here. Go in with easy wins so you can start to build that trust and confidence with your constituents, so you can show them that you're there to work for them. Tackling immigration, that seems like it's at the top of mind for every single person in the UK, no matter what stripe, shape, color, whatever you come from. So start to get that under control.
I've not heard him mention migration, actually, but the one win that you talk of is the North Sea. He's not said a word about migration.
Well, doesn't he? Don't you think he's going to have to?
Well, yeah, I mean, the boats are still coming. Yeah, I mean, something needs to be done. Just on Keir Starmer's tweet, viewers and listeners, maybe Paul and Stella, if you weren't aware of this, he posted on X 4 hours ago. The test of any Prime Minister is, do you leave your country in a better place than you found it? I'm proud that the answer is yes. He's been well and truly ratioed on that post. He's had 12,000 comments, most of which I can't read out on air, but if you're keen enough, go on Keir Starmer's X page. Anyway, there we go, gbnews.com/your say. There are lots of comments coming through. I'll see if I can get stuck into them. I will after the break, because we're a little bit pushed for time. Right, still ahead on The Late Show Live this evening. Well, it's bittersweet because it should have been England playing in the World Cup final today. Instead, Spain were there playing the cheats Argentina. Spain, luckily, this is the sweet part, they've won. World Cup champions after a tense 1-0 win. We'll have a full review of all the festivities coming up, including a great clip from Wayne Rooney on the BBC. What did Mr. Rooney think of the stupid 30-minute half-time show? Unprecedented, by the way. Half-time is 15 minutes. Don't get me started. I'll be back in a tick.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way. You will not want to miss it, trust me.
The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I have some fantastic news to bring you now. Spain have defeated Argentina 1-0 in a tense World Cup final that went into extra time. A goal by Ferran Torres, goal, was enough to see off the South American side, who knocked out England in a bitter clash last Wednesday. England, of course, finished third in what will mark their best finish in a World Cup since 1966, after they defeated France last night in a thrilling, and it was a great game, 6-4 victory. So how will the rival fans and indeed the hosts reflect on a World Cup that's, I guess, not been short of controversy? I'm delighted to say with me now is former England player Luther Blissett. Luther, great to see you. Thank you for staying up so late with us on the Late Show Live. First of all, your reaction to the final this evening. Were you happy Spain won, or were you not so exercised as me?
No, I'm very happy. I think the majority, if you're English, I think you're very happy that Spain won it, because having witnessed the England game the other day against Argentina, it was just so disappointing losing that game in the manner we did. But more to the point was the behaviour really of the Argentinians, which was disappointing to say at the least.
Yeah, so they had a red card during the game for a second yellow. I mean, arguably, one of their players, Paredes, I think, after getting a booking, he should have been sent off for 5 consecutive fouls after that. And he was the chap at full time. He was swinging haymakers, Luther, at the Spain players at full time. What is it with Argentina and their thuggery and their cheating? Why are they like that?
It's a funny thing, isn't it? We talk about DNA and you think it must be their DNA, because as long as I can remember, Argentina have been like that. Which I think is a shame, because they've got some talent in the players. But why they have to go about it in that way, I really don't get it. I can't understand why. Because they are such a good team, and you feel very sorry for the likes of Lionel Messi, because he just wants to play football and show the world what he can do. And, he's sort of caught in the middle of all of that.
Yeah, Messi was one of the only players actually to go around shaking Spain's hands. So credit to Leo Messi, great player, I guess, great man as well. Luther, can I just ask you about England as well? Very disappointing. 5 minutes from our first final in 60 years. Arguably should have been us today, aside from the last 5 minutes against Argentina. Has it been a successful World Cup? And what do you think should happen to Thomas Tuchel? I know he's going to be staying on, but what do you think should happen?
I mean, I think it is a successful World Cup. You said it there in the trailer leading into this. Best results since '66. So, look, we've got to take the positives out of all of this, because this is the best we've done since that time. And the way the team performed, we can't say they were scintillating to watch. There were some great moments. Started especially with the Mexico game, which I thought was the best England game that I've watched in a long, long while. And then yesterday, when you see him play against France, I thought, if England could play like that every time, it would just be a joy to watch. It would be. I think he should stay, because he is. I'm hoping what's happening, he's building something, and he's changed the look of the England team already. It's been a long time since I've seen an England team. It's normally you represent this with a club team where players really get on, are really pleased for whatever each other are doing, and I think he has instilled that in the short period of time that he's there, and I think that can only grow and help us as we move forward. And I think the Euros is something really to look forward to.
Yeah, definitely. They're going to be hosted in the UK as well, which is going to be something to look forward to. Just finally, Luther, the World Cup, I was following England around for 5 or 6 weeks, and I have to say it was one of the happiest times of my life. The patriotism, the unity, the positivity, the camaraderie. What is it about England and how international football can do that? Not just for England, but look, these are live scenes in Buenos Aires. We just saw some scenes from Madrid where, of course, the atmosphere is a bit happier. But what is it about football generally that is able to give us these brilliant moments where we can just escape from our everyday woes and anxieties?
Well, I think that's exactly what it does. Football is something we all dream about, and I was fortunate to actually play the game at that professional level. But I think you talk to people, and their escape is to watch their club team, whatever it may be, at whatever level, play well. And for us to see the England team, your national team, that's represented all of us to be out there and performing in the way they did. Let's look at yesterday's game. It just fills you with such pride to see the 3 lions on someone's shirt, and they're playing in that way, and you think that could be me, and I wish that was me. And I think that's the biggest thing that you get from your national team play.
Yeah, definitely. Luther, thank you so much. From Watford to Milan to Bournemouth, England as well. You're a legend. Thank you so much. Appreciate you being on the Late Show Live, and I hope you have a great week next week. Thank you, Luther.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, mate. Right, let's get the thoughts of predominantly Paul Cox in London, who is a Pompey fan. Paul, just your thoughts on, first of all, the RGs being done tonight. I mean, for me, not as good as England winning the World Cup, but nearly there, probably 95% of it.
Yeah, it was wonderful to see. Real heartwarming stuff. Some tears at the end as well. Some tantrums. Everything to make you feel good about something you dislike. And unfortunately, that's what we had most to look forward to today, because you're absolutely right, Ben. We could have got there. We could have absolutely got there. I don't want to go into that right now. I'm still recovering. I don't know if I'm ready to talk about it, Ben.
Okay, no, that's fine. Yeah, even my cameraman Ben today, I was trying to talk to him about the England-Argentina game on Wednesday. I was saying, oh, did you know Messi crossed in using his right foot? It drew some defenders away. He still can't listen to it. Poor Ben, the cameraman. Stella, did you see what Wayne Rooney said about the halftime show today? So it was an unprecedented 30-minute halftime show, complete Americanisation, commercial claptrap of football. Infantino throwing football under the bus. Madonna was there with a pre-recorded segment in some studio. She wasn't even in the stadium. But Wayne Rooney, Stella, did you see what he said about the halftime performance when he was asked live on the BBC?
No, Ben, why are you shaming me about my lack of football knowledge? What is this? What is this? Are you trying to discredit me?
Sorry, go on,
I haven't.
Give us your football analysis.
Christ, you want me to give you my football analysis? I don't have a football analysis, Ben. Listen, I have a patriotic...
That's why I asked you about Rooney, Stella.
I have a patriotic opinion, which is that I'm glad that Spain won, because I think that makes the defeat from Argentina slightly easier to digest as a defeat for my favourite people in the world, which is British people and English people in particular, who were the ones who sadly. But I do agree with Paul. It should have been England today. It could have been England today.
Yeah. It should have been 5 minutes away. Oh, yeah.
I'm not disappointed. I'm ultimately, though, in retrospect, I'm not going to be hugely disappointed, Ben. I've seen lots of England tournaments over the years. The first one I can remember as a 6-year-old was '86 in Mexico. That was the hand of God. Then in 1990 in Italy, Italy was an absolute cheat. And then Italy was an absolutely wonderful World Cup finals in 1990. Pavarotti, Gaza, tears. But it felt like a novelty to get to that semi-final. Then in '94, first time in the USA, England didn't make it. Then it was '98, France weren't really in contention. Throughout the 2000s, not really in contention, despite having some great individual players. But since 2018, we've gone semi-finals, quarter-finals, finals. We are always in contention. And it's only getting better, Ben. And I think what you saw, I envied what you saw, actually. And you did an excellent job. Some fantastic journalism of getting that across, mate. You really genuinely did. And I'm saying that because next time you do that, I want to go with you. But no, you genuinely did a fantastic job of conveying that spirit. You really did.
Thank you, mate. That's very kind of you. I appreciate it. I hope my enthusiasm transcended into people's living rooms. Yeah, thank you so much. OK, just finally to Laurie and Matt here. I know football isn't your national game, so let me ask you about the halftime show. Madonna, 30 minutes. Wayne Rooney, the former England captain, Man United's highest ever goal scorer, said live on the BBC, they said, Wayne, what did you make of that? And he said, I thought it was a load of crap. Matt.
Yeah, well, I guess he's more...
Why are you doing this to football, Matt?
I guess, look, I recognize there's purists to the sport, and I think this was the first time that there was a halftime show during the World Cup. Look, that's us just put our flair on it, but I got to be honest, I think less and less people were focused on the halftime show and much more focused on the game. We've seen the turnout for these games for the World Cup, incredible viewership. It's been incredible honor as Americans to host a World Cup, and you've seen here in the United States, yes, it's not our sport, but you have seen, I think, a rise in interest in the sport here, no question 100%. About it. The only worst thing they could have done was have Bad Bunny perform, so I'm glad they didn't do that. Oh,
goodness me. Yeah. Laurie, are you now a football fan?
Well, he was playing after they won. I heard it watching on TV. Yeah, I'm a football fan, and I would say that I think that there are so many more U.S. football fans than there ever were before, and that makes me pumped because I was a competitive athlete all growing up, and so I love sports. Love, love, love. So this has been wonderful. And I will say, because you asked, I do care about how people thought and received the United States and Americans, and the reception that they received and the hospitality. And to hear them say, we've been told or hear these things, in media and read on social media about Americans being this, this, and this, or feeling this certain way. And we experienced exactly the opposite. You all are amazing. You all have so many great things. You're so hospitable. You're so kind. You're so welcoming. All of it
Yeah.
So
yeah, lots of
love
people's
it. Diplomacy, soft power in action.
Yeah, lots of people's impressions have changed of America since coming. So thank you for a great World Cup. FIFA, different conversation, but American stadiums, great, excellent. Right, stick with us on the Late Show Live. We'll be going through the papers in just a second, including the Times goes with Burnham, my 10-year plan, and also on the bottom of the Daily Telegraph, onions are off the menu across France as heat waves decimate onion crops. I think it's a good thing, isn't it? Back in a sec.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From court mornings
to warm family brunches.
From football to tennis in the car.
In the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there. With the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again.
To start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it? Because the failure is
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello, welcome back. Let's take a quick look at the front page of the Times tomorrow. The headline reads, Burnham, my 10-year UK plan. I'm going to get the thoughts of the guys in London on this. Paul Cox, one thing that is slightly annoying about democracy is that you have 7 prime ministers in 10 years, and really nobody can get anything done because they're out within a few years, and everything the previous prime minister's done is then scrapped, and then you start from scratch. And that is the one aspect of democracy. I think it was Churchill who once said democracy is the worst form of government apart from the rest. Anyway, he's got a 10-year plan. I mean, it's a bit presumptuous, Paul, that he's going to be there for 10 years.
Yes, it is. It is presumptuous that he would be there for 10 years. However, he must have a 10-year plan. If he said, you know what, I've got a plan for 6 months, haven't really thought about it much after that, then we'd be equally as worried. So I think he has to have a 10-year plan. I don't believe that I'll ever get to fulfil that, but it'd be interesting to see what it is, because we do know what the biggest issues are facing the UK now. So hopefully at the top of that list is things like fuel sovereignty, tackling the illegal immigration issue, getting our national debt down, reducing the welfare bill, cutting taxes. But perhaps I'm just giving my own policies now. But these are all things we know are going to be needed from any Prime Minister of any flavour whatsoever in order to get the UK back on track. So whilst it might seem presumptuous to many that Burnham has a 10-year plan, it's just as well he does, because we're going to need one. Whether he gets a chance to fulfil it or not is a whole other matter.
Yeah, I just echo everything you say. Stella, I think this country, Great Britain, we need a 10, 20-year plan that is stuck to diligently by politicians of all sides, because, as I said, you just get nothing done. Nothing gets done, and then you're rudderless. The managed decline continues. So I guess props to Burnham for saying this, but as Paul said, you can't really say anything otherwise, can he, Stella?
I do think that it's important that we start having more longer-term plans, and I think this has been one of the problems with the way the British government has been doing policy. In particular, the way the Treasury sees investment, not in terms of what is going to be the return to something, but what is just the short-term cost. And this is something that has really harmed the economy in the long run, whether you look at infrastructure and cutting investment in infrastructure, whether you look at our energy system, whether you look in any part of in any department that feeds into the economy, you see that not being able to do long-term planning, and 10 years really is the absolute minimum. You should be looking at a lot longer, at a lot more longer term than that. I think the only department I know that really does that is the Foreign Office, where they see the relationships between countries as centuries-old relationships, not something that can just change from one administration to the next. And one thing I would say about Andy Burnham is, even though, yes, sure, he is a new Prime Minister, but he is still going to be governing on the same manifesto, the same 2024 manifesto. So all of the things that he has mentioned so far...
Well, is he? He's drilling in the North Sea again.
Sorry? Apart from that, yes,
He's going to be drilling in the North Sea again.
Well, we will see what he does. We will see what he does about that.
Digital ID's going as well.
That wouldn't be. And you are right. This will be a change in the government. I mean, this was a policy that was set under the Conservatives. So if you are watering down net zero in any way, then you are moving away from the 15-year long policy of the previous government.
Yeah, interesting. OK, we'll get stuck into Burnham a bit more in the second hour. Sorry to squeeze you for time. In the next hour as well, I'm going to be showing you the Times. Apparently they're reporting President Trump was booed in the World Cup final, handing over the trophy to Spain. I don't think it was. I think it was Gianni Infantino. I'm not just saying it, but I think it was Infantino that were booing and not President Trump, but we'll discuss that in a second. Laurie may have other opinions. More coming up in the next hour, including this. More tragic news. The United States has announced another death of a service member as it launched further strikes on Iran in response to the killing of 2 American troops over the past couple of days. Is this now a return to all-out war? Back in a second. Don't go anywhere.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's a little bit fresh out there for some of us first thing today, but it won't take very long at all for it to warm up with that strong July sunshine. But it will be a little bit cloudier compared to recent days. In actual fact, through this morning at least, there could be 1 or 2 light showers for some of us, particularly northeast England, running down towards the East Midlands, the Wash, and northern parts of Scotland will stay fairly cloudy through this afternoon too. Otherwise, though, the cloud will tend to break up, and there'll be some sunny spells actually for many of us by this afternoon. The most prolonged sunny spells for Wales, the southwest, and mainland parts of Scotland too, where we'll see temperatures climb up to around 23 to 26 degrees Celsius once again. So a very warm end to the day. For East Anglia, though, the southeast, the cloud might just about be thick enough even late this afternoon, just to bring the odd very isolated light shower, mainly in coastal spots, possibly also for northern England as well, but for many parts of Northern Ireland, central and southern Scotland, it will be a fine end to the day with plenty of warm sunshine. For the islands and the Highlands of Scotland, though, for Shetland and Orkney, here quite a lot of low cloud probably persisting through the day, and increasingly so through this evening overnight we'll see the cloud thicken further, so some longer spells of light rain and drizzle are possible. Otherwise, though, it'll be a dry night, generally speaking, with prolonged clear periods, and temperatures once again in the countryside could well fall down into mid to single figures. So it will be a widely comfortable night for sleeping. Temperatures in the towns and cities holding up at between 13 and 15 degrees perhaps, but certainly not anything particularly humid or warm. Now for Tuesday, it's going to be a fine day for England and Wales. Plenty of sunshine, sunnier day to come probably compared to on Monday in the east. Cloudier for Northern Ireland, one or two light showers pushing into the very far north, and more general cloud and bits and pieces of rain perhaps once again for the north and the northwest of Scotland. In the best of the sunshine though, temperatures into the 20s widely, and probably a warmer day in the south with highs of 25 to 27 degrees.
Today, clouds overhead. Total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches.
From football to tennis
In the car?
In the kitchen.
GB News breakfast is there.
with the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again.
To start your day just right. GB News breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way. You will not want to miss it, trust me.
The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country. There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor. Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I ever got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Tom Harwood. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello, good morning. Live from Washington, D.C. This is GB News with the stories shaping Britain and America.
Because I think he's a lovely man, but I said, you're really messing up energy. You have windmills all over the place. In the meantime, you have the North Sea oil, and they won't let anybody drill.
Well, President Trump was a long-standing critic of Keir Starmer's net zero policy, but now he says the people of Aberdeen in Scotland are dancing in the streets as his new best bud, Andy Burnham, is set to open up North Sea drilling. And
let's make sure it's boldly, confidently, authentically Labour, that we're the party that people remember, on their side and working hard for them.
Talking of Burnham, he'll be making his way to Downing Street later today as a new era in British politics begins. But who will be his Chancellor, and will he call a general election? Also tonight. Jubilant scenes in Madrid this evening as Spain have been crowned World Cup champions after a tense 1-0 win against Argentina. The truth is they battered them, but still somehow they only got one. We'll have a full review of all the festivities, including Wayne Rooney's half-time analysis of the show, including Madonna, Justin Bieber, Post Malone, in just a second. Elsewhere tonight. This is going to be a talker. The US has announced another death of a military service member as it launched further airstrikes on Iran in response to the killing of 2 other troops earlier this week. Is this now a return to all-out war? And
wow. Okay, how did you get here?
I came by the sea. Yeah, by the small boats.
this was one of the best pieces of GB News broadcasting I've seen since the channel started. That was our own Patrick Christys on the ground in Crowborough, East Sussex, just down the road from me back in Blighty. Well, another village, this time round in Oxfordshire, is mulling a referendum on whether to declare independence from the UK in protest at similar plans to house asylum seekers nearby. I'm Ben Leo, this is The Late Show Live. Very good morning to you. Joining me in Washington this evening is my panel, the former Chief of Staff to Marco Rubio, Matt Terrell, former Obama Policy Advisor Laurie Watkins, and in London, political commentator Stella Chantakidou and the GB News contributor and comedian Paul Cox. Thank you, everybody, for your company this morning. Right, let's move on to our main news this evening. It's sad news, actually. The United States says another service member has died as American forces launched fresh strikes on Iran following the deaths of 2 other troops in Jordan just a few days ago. Washington says the latest attacks targeted Revolutionary Guard military sites, while Iran fired missiles towards Jordan, raising fears the conflict could spread further across the region. The renewed fighting comes as a fragile ceasefire agreement has collapsed and tensions continue to escalate. President Trump says the gates of hell will open on Iran. We're still waiting to see what that looks like, how it will manifest. But joining me now is friend of the channel, Editor-in-Chief at the Foreign Desk, Lisa Daftari. Lisa, good to see you again. I know we spoke last night, but at that point we hadn't heard of this latest service member who had been killed. As I understand it, they were trying to detonate or at least take apart an Iranian drone that they downed. Have you got any more information on how this person tragically was killed?
Yeah, I'm hearing the same, that's exactly what happened. They were trying to take apart the drone and it detonated at that point. Look, every single one of these deaths is extremely tragic, and it makes it that much more difficult to stomach going forward in this war, but also gives the president that much more justification as to why this war is necessary. If we called a ceasefire today, there would still be deaths of our service members going forward, just like there have been in the last 5 decades. And that's really what has to be communicated to the American public, that this war is necessary, because even if we stop it, they are hell-bent on launching wars against us, our assets, our allies in the region. And that's where we stand tonight, 9th night of strikes by the United States against Iran's regime.
Yes, the United States now, the death toll for the US military is now at 17. That was after an American Navy pilot who went missing earlier this month was also unfortunately declared dead. CENTCOM said it had found unidentified remains after a search of a site in Jordan where they were trying to detonate or at least take apart this drone. 17 service members dead from the American side, Lisa. Is this still worth it for the Americans, do you think? And I'll get their views in DC in a second, but from your point of view, is this still worth it?
Look, even one is obviously very tragic, so I don't want to sound dismissive, but 17, why don't we talk about the thousands that have been killed in the last 47 years at the hand of Iran's regime, whether it was our troops in Lebanon or throughout the region, in Iraq, in Syria. They're the #1 state sponsor of terror, and that's not because we were at official military war with them, but because they have been at war with us. They declared war against us in 1979 by saying death to America, and it wasn't just a slogan. They have acted upon that with themselves, their proxies, with suicide bombers. This is their model. This is their ideology, and it will continue. It's not because we're just at war with them at this moment. And again, perhaps it hasn't been well communicated to the American public as to why we are fighting this war and why it is absolutely necessary. If you are against forever wars, this is the war to end forever wars. If you are against American presence in the Middle East, this is the war to end American presence in the Middle East. And I think this probably hasn't been well communicated to the American public, or we wouldn't have to be beating it over and over again because we're losing that support. But I will say this, I have seen polls that since the ceasefire, since April till now, there has been an increase in the American opinion about why this war is necessary, both among Republicans and Democrats. So I know that that number is not high. This is not a bipartisan effort as we would like it to be, as maybe perhaps we would have it be decades ago. But then again, we also have a country that's divided and views things not from right or wrong, but through does Trump want this or does Trump not want this? And that is not the lens by which to look at this. This is a homeland security threat for the United States. We're not fighting for the Iranians. We're not fighting it for the Arab states that surround Iran, and we're not fighting it for Israel. We are fighting it because it is a homeland security threat for the United States. And that, again, has to be communicated well so that we do have, again, support for this, both Democrat and Republican, going forward.
Yeah, interesting how the rest of the year is going to pan out. As I said to you last night, the midterms coming up, gas prices, stock market, you know, it's getting, as we say in the UK, Lisa, squeaky bum time, especially for the midterms. So that's in November. Lisa, thank you so much. Appreciate it as always. We'll catch up soon. Lisa Daftari, Editor-in-Chief at The Foreign Desk. Matt Terrell, somebody on your say, called me old-fashioned, has said America can't defeat Iran, not with the military they have and the distance of travel. This means Americans are dying for Israel needlessly.
Well, I disagree with those comments. Obviously, this war is necessary. Iran has been the greatest state sponsor of terrorism. They were on the brink of having a nuclear weapon. That's unacceptable. And this is not the first time that Iran has killed Americans. It's done it before. And thoughts and prayers are with the American soldiers who have passed away. But look, the truth is this. You're seeing Iran's capabilities decimated. You know, right at the start of this war, they're launching around 100 missiles a day. That's down to about 10 missiles per day. Let's not forget, Iran is getting support right now. If you believe the reports out there, the reports that Iran is getting support from China, that's a real concern. But in the end, the United States is winning this war. The United States will win this war. But more importantly, the United States must win this war. And the good news here is you're seeing a reset in the Middle East. It's not just the United States fighting this war. You're seeing now our allies in the Middle East who've been attacked by Iran as well. You saw
UAE, Dubai Airport.
Just a few days ago, the president, the leader of Iraq, in the Oval Office with President Trump. This upcoming week, you're going to see the leader of Lebanon in the Oval Office with President Trump. And we saw Syria block Iran from getting weapons to one of its proxy terrorist groups. These countries are stepping up in the region because they know Iran is a threat. They know we cannot go back to the days where Iran had the kind of strength they had. We're going to win this war. Thoughts and prayers, of course, for those who've lost their lives.
Laurie, you used to work in defence at the Pentagon. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, your family members served 17 US fatalities now. What's your thoughts?
Yes, the rise of 17 American service members that have died now just, I think, totally underscores that this war is not over. It's continuously evolving, and that even neutralized weapons, they're still active and they could still cause threat and death to American service members, as well as innocent civilians, whether that's Iranians or whomever is around in whatever country that this is from our Arab partners. I just want to make a couple things clear. I agree with what Lisa said, and I respect her tremendously. But what she said, was about that public sentiment is starting to, during the ceasefire, that it started to increase a little bit. But I just want to point out, I wouldn't disagree with that necessarily, but these are facts, is that since that ceasefire took effect, Iran has been able to reconstitute a lot of the weaponry, specifically the ballistic missiles and the missile launch sites, the armed drone launch sites and other underground facilities that they've been able to reconstitute during this ceasefire time. They've also been able to get more money again. There's a lot of things that they've been able to do that are very detrimental to U.S. service members, to our national security, and to, I think, the overall strategy that Donald Trump had going into this. And now, as everyone is aware, we are getting closer and closer and closer to the midterm election, and he is running out of time. I would have said, Ben, that I gave him time in the beginning. I did. But he's in the worst and most difficult position now because he either has to go absolute right now, full throttle.
Would you have supported him if he did that, say, 2 months ago? I mean, I have sat here on this show saying I wanted him to turn the screw.
And that they even acknowledge is that we all know who we're dealing with here. It's the Iranians. Then you should have known that you going into a deal like this after they've realized what their stronghold is the Strait of Hormuz, that you don't have any leverage anymore. They're going to keep prolonging.
So would you have supported 2 months ago if you're on this show? And I've been saying I want him to turn the screw and finish the job properly. But would you have supported that at the time 2 months ago? Full throttle.
No, not at the very beginning. Not at the very beginning. No.
No.
Maybe a month in. Yes. But then there were steps taken that the United States made that put us on a course where that was difficult every single day that went on. So then I was, for diplomatic purposes, going to the ceasefire, getting that MOU signed. And then look what's happened. And now time is not on the president's side. He could go full throttle right now if there wasn't a midterm election, but that would completely destroy the Republican Party.
Well, he says he's going to open the gates of hell, but I'm waiting.
What does that mean?
I'm waiting to see it. I don't know. I'm waiting to see it.
I'll just say, look, he gave peace a chance. He went to the table to try to get an MOU through with Iran. It's Iran that chose to break that MOU. One of the biggest things they broke in that was that they would no longer be launching attacks in the Strait of Hormuz. These are horrific people with this regime. What he is doing right now, I believe, is ensuring that he breaks this regime now.
So why don't they just finish the job then?
I think right now they're trying to do that, but you have to understand, there's other elements at play here. You don't want to be killing civilians. You want to be doing targeted strikes like the United States is doing right now. And let's be honest, it's not like Iran has these massive, great capabilities. I mean, it is horrific to have any loss of life. But look at the loss of life we've had in past wars and past conflicts. Far greater than what we've seen now. Every life matters. But I think if you ask the men and women who serve the United States military, they know this conflict matters. Good on President Trump for trying to give peace a chance so that he could try to stop the killing. But that didn't work because Iran chose to break the MOU. Now what you're seeing right now on this very screen is the United States launching these targeted attacks, not just for the Strait of Hormuz, but to break this regime once and for all.
Can I tell you, Ben, one more thing? That the reason why this is not in his favor either is that he never went to Congress to get authorization.
He didn't need to.
Hold on, Matt. Now he's in trouble.
He's not in trouble.
He's run out of weapons.
How's he in trouble?
Because they're running low on weapons is why, and they need money to be able to fund this war.
Oh, you mean
why?
You mean the money that over 100 Democrats voted against providing funds to Israel? Is that the money we're talking about?
Can you just explain to our British viewers, Laurie, why Trump would have to go to Congress to continue the war?
He's already gone to because he knows that he has to, and so has Secretary Hegseth gone and put a request to Congress that they have to authorize money to be appropriated. And Matt's shaking his head. This is absolutely correct.
He's got the right as an American president to do what he's doing with the military conflict. He's got every right to do what he's doing.
You're talking about the past. I'm talking about the future.
Laurie, I'm talking about the president. I go back to what
I used to work on the Hill. Like, I know how this works.
Congratulations.
So you need appropriators and you need authorizers.
Great.
And he has to have the money authorized by members of Congress because he's run out. At the beginning of what he did was just go at this on his own.
Okay.
He has to get authorization for money.
Let's talk about funding. Israel is an ally of the United States. Israel was attacked on October 7th. Israel continues to get attacked. Yet over 100 Democrats voted against providing billions of dollars in aid to Israel. Now, they didn't do that for other countries.
Let's give money to Israel versus giving it to our own U.S. service members.
Listen,
that goes over really well with American voters,
But Hakeem Jeffries voted for it, Laurie. But many Democrats voted against it, and Hakeem Jeffries didn't even whip the vote. What that means to the viewers out there is he didn't even fight to try and get support from Democrats in Congress for that aid. It does not help when you're blocking aid to an ally like Israel in this conflict.
Okay, so is this Israel's war or not?
This is the world's war.
Why does Israel need aid?
This is the world. Well, aid matters to these countries. We give aid to a lot of countries around the world.
Well, we waste a lot of it, yeah.
But some of it's wasted, but under President Trump, it hasn't been. Look, when you give aid to Israel, it matters strategically. Democrats blocked it out of partisan politics, but it matters in terms of strategy because that helps us with intelligence gathering. Israel purchases a lot of U.S. military capabilities. This is important aid that we don't just give to Israel, we give to other countries as well. This is the world's war right now. The world was threatened by Iran. They've been the greatest state sponsor of terrorism. President Trump did what no other U.S. president did. He didn't need Congress to do it. He's had every right to do it.
I agree. So
Notice
just finish
that
them off.
everything Matt advocated for was not the U.S., it was Israel.
Okay, let me speak to the guys in London. Paul Cox, Katzeb, has said on your say part of the reason Iran was able to get more money is because Keir Starmer refused to prescribe the IRGC as terrorists and seize their assets. Starmer is partially to blame. I will say there is some truth in that because Labour, during the election campaign, they held the Tories to account all the time when the Tories were in government, saying, as soon as we get to power, Labour, we're going to prescribe the IRGC. They took their time about it. I think they've only half done it now with this new kind of legislation. But London is the IRGC money laundering capital of the world. So Katzeb, on your say, I think has a point there.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, this programme is absolutely fantastic for seeing the internal US view. It's great for the viewers in the UK. I love to see the robust debate. I don't like to see the partisan politics from either side of the pond because this is a war for the world. And I look at this externally through the prism of what I believe is the world's superpower, the United States of America. And the United States of America, as the world's superpower in a democratic world, has the responsibility of acting proportionately, which I believe that it has done so far. But it also has the responsibility to try and eradicate the world's biggest terror threat at the same time. It's a very tight line to tread. But under no circumstances should we underplay Iran's Iran's position in the world when it comes to the terror, and by the way, their ability to proceed irrespective of the decency of a Western or Anglicised world view. We are not fighting a fair war with them, and therefore we have to fight fire with fire. It's the only language they understand. We've gone to the negotiating table. I say we. I see us as part of the West. I see us as part of, as I do Israel, the UK should see ourselves as this. Israel, the UK, Europe, the West, and the United States against Iran, against the terror threat, against those that support Iran. And I think we have to fight fire with fire now, Ben, because they are not going to cease and desist. It's not going to be a letter where they just go, oh, sorry about that. They're not going to do this now. We have to stand up and take this incredibly seriously. When this gets into partisan politics around do you support Israel, don't you support Israel, the Intifada, all of that nonsense, that is a massive distraction. That is in favour of Iran. We have to stand united. Irrespective of what side of the aisle we stand on, it's Iran that wants to kill you.
Okay, Stella, just your thoughts on the wider Iran conflict, but also what do you think Burnham's going to do with Iran? What's your spidey senses saying?
I really hope that Burnham just tells Donald Trump that he is insane and that we are all suffering because of him. And it is really difficult for me to watch. Listening to you, Paul, I think that you are a smart person. You are telling me that you really enjoyed when the debate is not partisan and when people are talking about facts and what is good for everyone and for all countries. And you are looking at the situation that Donald Trump has brought upon not just the US, but also the rest of the world as well. Not just the Middle East either, it's Europe as well who is going to suffer because of the massive energy price increases that we're going to see, as if we didn't already have enough defense issues to worry about with Russia at our doorstep. Now we have this as well. And you are telling me that the US is in a worse situation now than it is in a better situation now than it would have been if Donald Trump had just stuck to the deal that Obama negotiated with Iran. how is the situation any better? Now Iran knows that they can't control the Strait of Hormuz, and frankly, any logical, non-biased observer from outsider these regions would be saying, wait a minute, why should Iran trust the US? This is not a good faith negotiation, and by no means am I in any way supporting the Iran regime or saying that they are not completely erratic and dangerous. Of course they are. But what is their choice at this point? The way that Donald Trump has been behaving? Because you know what's the point, Ben? You're asking me what I think about the situation in Iran. I don't think that Trump really is able to achieve any of his aims, which he never clarified. He never clarified his aims from the beginning of this war. It seemed like it was all partisan politics, I would say.
Look, thank you first of all for conceding that I am in some way intelligent, Stella. I appreciate that. That's a great way to start our discussion. And after that, I didn't really hear much. No, I did. To be fair to you, look, I'm not saying that Donald Trump has done everything absolutely spot on, but what I am saying is that the West previously, and the superpower, and the West is led by its superpower, which is the United States of America, has sat on that pot with regards to Iran far too long. And the time has come to do something about it, which Donald Trump has had the courage to do. Now, that is not something easy. He knows it's not easy, and we're discovering things as we go along. Do I support Donald Trump to continue attacking Iran? Yes, I do, because a lot of Iranians do too. You only have to speak to Iranians that live in London that came here as a result of the revolution in 1979 and are really unable to ever go back unless Donald Trump is successful. They are pleading with Donald Trump to continue on this path.
Yes, the Iranians in London who are not the ones whose houses are being burned down and their daughters being killed in Iran, right? These are the Iranians we're going to listen to. Okay, fine. You know what? Countries are looking at North Korea and they're thinking, well, North Korea looks bad, but they developed their nuclear weapons and now the West has allowed them to just not stop attacking them. What do you think is the lesson that a country like Iran is supposed to take?
Sorry, go on, Laurie. I feel like I've spoken too much.
No worries. Building off of the Iranians themselves, something I was on the program on Monday with Bev, and she actually agreed with me, which I was pleased about, which is I brought up, what about the Iranians? Every single MOU, every single negotiation, conversation that's happening, whether it's in Europe, whether it's in Islamabad, whether it's in, Qatar, wherever it is, the Iranian people are never even a line item on this. So do you know what's happening over there? That they're past the point of thinking that the United States is going to come to their rescue or help them in any way. And if I was them, I would think the same thing. And now that Donald Trump is turning up the heat, and launching all of these strikes that are going to affect their infrastructure, their ability to have energy and have air conditioning, which it's in the absolute peak of heat and summer right now for them. This is all making them suffer even more. And I'm telling you that they don't see it as more oppression by the IRGC and the Iranians. They're seeing it as the United States, that they didn't live up to what they said, that they were going to come in and help them. And that has never been a part of any of this negotiation, and it doesn't look like it's going to be. And that is what should be very concerning to everybody. And decapitation campaigns, which is what Donald Trump engaged in, they don't always go the way that we want them to go, and they don't look like the way you want them to go. And I just posed this. Yes, I agree with the messaging that's been laid out, along with my colleague on the panel here in the UK that said that that the United States has sat on this, but you know what? So has other world leaders. And there is a reason for that, my friend, is because this is not easy. It is difficult. I'm not saying that no one should have taken a good stab and tried to move forward on this, but taking it as Donald Trump has, not having the best experts, not putting the best negotiators at the table.
How do you not
is showing that he's not serious about
the best experts? He's got great experts around him. This is not easy. You're right, it's not easy. He made the right move.
Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff are not the best of the best. They're not. They are not the best negotiators that are out there. And if you agree, say that they are, then you're not the professional that I thought you were.
Need to talk. Matt, I will say, I agree with Laurie's point in that at the start this was all about President Trump saying that the Iranians will be free, they can take their country back. He did a snazzy video saying that the Iranian people could go and take their country back prior to the revolution in, what was it, 79. And then a few weeks ago he posted, well, it's never about that in the first place. He said, I don't really care about that kind of stuff. And he was talking about other things. To me, I'm disappointed in the president because it feels like he's just forgotten about what he was saying at the start and doesn't really talk about the Iranian people anymore. Call me a war hawk, I don't care. I want him to turn the screw and blow the IRGC and this Islamist despot regime to smithereens and liberate the Iranian people.
Yeah, this is not an easy task. We've been at this a few months, not a few years. And so let's put this in perspective. You know, this has been a few months, not a few years, and the bottom line here is that this stuff takes time. And so I think the bottom line here is people have got to recognize that this is a conflict that's worth pursuing. And as for the people of Iran, you cannot possibly tell me that under this regime that they were better off. This is a regime that is killing its own people. Let's see where this goes in terms of the people of Iran. But the best thing that the United States could do, the armed forces of the United States could do, is do the attacks they're doing right here.
Okay.
That's the bottom line.
All right, Laurie, last word. Be
I just
brief,
wanted
please.
to say
No monologues.
I was on another network on Friday, and I'm starting to see that the messaging that y'all are using, that, oh, this is going to take time, that is exactly how he sold this in the first place, that this was going to be one and done, just like Venezuela, that he was going to go in and this was going to be easy peasy in and out because our military is the best. This is what he laid out, how easy it was going to be and how short of a time period
he never said it was going to be
now
easy.
y'all are
Laurie,
saying, oh, it's very difficult and it's going to take time. Don't gaslight the American public or the rest of the people around the world that see that this is bull.
Nobody's gaslighting the American people, Laurie. This is a very complex thing that no president has taken on.
Now it's going to take time, guys.
Let me finish. This regime has been out there for nearly 50 years doing what they've been doing, killing their own people, being the greatest state sponsor of terrorism, and killing the Americans and people around the world. You cannot tell me. Laura, you had your time to talk. Let me finish. The bottom line here is that this is a president that's done what nobody else was willing to do. And yes, it is not great to have casualties, but this is a war that is worth waging. If you talk to the men and women of the armed forces, I can guarantee you they believe that this is the right mission. I go back to, and I'll say it 1,000 times more, this has been the greatest state sponsor of terrorism in Iran. They were on the brink of having a nuclear weapon. Can someone else tell me what else they would have done differently? The Obama deal was coming to an end anyways. It had sunset clauses in it. It wasn't working.
Okay, and the sunset is falling on this conversation as well. Thank you guys for a spirited debate. Thoughts, prayers, respects to those 17 US service members who have been killed. Yeah, I mean, like I said, call me a war hawk, don't give a damn. I want Trump to turn the screw and start playing seriously. Because at the moment, it just seems like he's just dithering and waiting for a bunch of Islamist despots who want everyone dead and taking their word for it. So I don't see the logic. Anyway, there we go. Right, let's move on. An Oxfordshire village is planning a symbolic independence referendum in protest at proposals to house up to 1,250 male asylum seekers at a nearby former military base. Where's all the women and children, by the way? 1,250 male asylum seekers, guaranteed all of fighting age. Where's all the women and children? And how many engineers amongst those 1,250? I can guarantee 0. Residents in Piddington say they were not properly consulted and have raised concerns about security, house prices and pressure on the local area. Well, this is what they do, isn't it? They just ditch it. They say they're closing the hotels and they just put these people in idyllic, fully functioning, high-trust communities, and they wonder where it goes wrong. Meanwhile, elsewhere, a separate story, an immigration judge has ruled that an Eritrean asylum seeker should be treated as a child, despite officials believing he was in his 20s, with records showing 5 different dates of birth. He was also shaving as well, big beard and moustache, and apparently he's a kid. The Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, has been ordered to contribute 10 grand towards his legal fees and is considering an appeal. With me now is former Downing Street advisor Rob Midgley. Rob, good to see you. First of all, can we talk about this one in Piddington in Oxfordshire? Very good news. Great idyllic community in Oxfordshire. People probably worked hard all their lives to buy houses there. They've raised their families there. Nice life in Great Britain, in once Great Britain. And now they've got 1,250 blokes from faraway lands. We don't know who they are, where they're from, what their intentions are, turning up on their doorstep. It's great, Rob.
Yeah, I mean, it's an absolute joke, isn't it, Ben? I mean, the residents haven't been consulted. There's been no assessment to the community impact. And, you know, there's a talk about self-determination, as you know, that I'm fully in favour of self-determination, but it shouldn't even be entertained at this point, because these people, you know, in the barracks should not be, they shouldn't be there altogether. I'm fully in favour of a Singapore-style system, where, you know, they don't even let the people in to start with. You have to apply to come in. Anyone undocumented is shipped off straight away without any sort of assessment. You require all the paperwork. There's no access to benefits. This isn't just Singapore. It's places like South Korea, Japan, Australia. It's a normal immigration system. And I just don't understand why we are so soft on this matter and just allow anyone who's undocumented to come in. And this story about the kid, well, supposed child, is just another joke. I just think the whole system is completely delusional at this point.
Yeah, it's delusional. And is it intentional, Rob? Is it intentional to disrupt communities like this by putting 1,250 male asylum seekers from goodness knows where into communities? Well, you could easily detain these people in detention centres whilst their asylum claims are processed.
Well, they shouldn't even be here to start with. They shouldn't even be entertained in these barracks, in my opinion. They shouldn't be in the village. They shouldn't be in the country. How they've actually accessed the country is beyond a joke to start with. You see all these videos online of them throwing their passports and phones into the water before they get onto the boats. We don't know who these people are. You know, there's a hell of a lot of rumours going around on who they actually are, but we just don't know this information. They should be, say, captured straight away and sent straight back to France or wherever they say they've come from. They just shouldn't be here to start with. And you've seen in all these villages where these migrants are being housed, the crime rates are going through the roof. How people are putting up with this, I mean, these people are not putting up with it, but how these people are putting up with this is beyond a joke. How are they doing it right now? I just don't know.
I think it's a gross betrayal of the social contract. It's a betrayal of Britain, of British people. I find it disgusting. Actually, I'm back in the UK from next week. I was having time off, but I might go down to Piddington and have a look and go and do some filming down there. I mean, I'm happy to do that on my day off. By the way, last comment on this Eritrean migrant. Yeah, meet me down there, Rob. I'm back in the UK on Wednesday, so meet me down there. I've got 2 weeks off. An Eritrean migrant who proudly sported a healthy beard and fine moustache has persuaded an asylum judge that he should be treated as a child. So he gave 5 or 6 different dates of births when he came over on a lorry in 2024. Anyway, an asylum judge now says, yeah, he is a child. I mean, it sounds like he can grow more facial hair than me, Rob, and I'm nearly 37. Oh, he's gone. I've shocked Rob into. I've shocked Rob's internet feed. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Rob Midgley, friends of British Overseas Territories. Paul Cox, very quick word in London on Piddington in Oxfordshire, and also this migrant who can grow a better beard than me, even though he's a kid.
Well, first of all power to Piddington. I mean, unfortunately, there's no legal basis. You know, you've said this is, you know, a symbolic referendum. However, it'd be interesting to see what the outcome of that is. It could be there will be no legal jurisdiction on which they could act upon it. Probably just as well, otherwise there'd be every single town and village in England and Wales right now having their own referendum. And as we know, Ben, referendums don't always lead to peace and or harmony. With regards to the wee young chap with a massive great beard, well, of course, that's an absolute joke, isn't it? You know, I'm 46 now. I have facial hair. I think I was 32 before I was needing to shave more than about once or twice a week. So I do envy him if he is 14, but of course he's not, is he? And there's lots of dangers involved in grown men pretending to be children, not just so they can evade the asylum system, but they can evade all sorts of other justice as well, Ben. And very unfortunately, there seems to be a very disproportionate number of crimes committed against children by this demographic. So I don't just see this as something we can all laugh and joke about as this man pretends to be a child. Why does he pretend to be a child? What benefits in it for him? And why do people allow it? You talked about the social construct, Ben. We do have a social construct which relies entirely on trust. Every single one of us now, irrespective in the UK or the US, irrespective of anything. The contract amongst us all is that we will behave decently towards one another, and that's the minimum we should expect from one another. This is not what's happening here, and it's state-sponsored.
Yeah, it's state-sponsored. Yeah, precisely. Yeah, intentional or not, I don't know. People clip that up and call me a nutter, but I don't care. Stella, just your comments quickly on 1,250 male asylum seekers. Again, I asked Stella, where are all the women and children? I thought that all these people were women and children, engineers and doctors. Why is it 1,250 male fighting-age men in Piddington, Oxfordshire?
So I think the problem with having court judgments like that, and I haven't read the actual judgment, I should say, I have only read the write-up in the Telegraph, and these are not always the most non-biased write-ups, but I do have an opinion on generally seeing tribunals deciding that in favour of edge cases like that, where any person down the street who listens to the description of this case feels like this is not a fair system, somebody is taking the mickey out of our judicial system. I think this is very bad for how much people will be trusting the system, how much people will be believing that refugees are genuine and that they are lying, and I think that this is, in the end, the biggest damage that is happening as a result.
Yeah. Stella, can I ask you a question? How would you feel if I don't know where you live, but say you lived in a village somewhere, how would you feel if the government opened an asylum camp with 1,250 men just a few doors up? How would you feel?
Well, the thing is, Ben, that you are saying that, and I do think it shouldn't happen this way. They shouldn't do it this way. Absolutely not. Especially when you have very small communities, because that changes massively the demographic of an area. You don't want to do that. But it is generally good policy when you do have genuine refugees that you disperse them in all over the country, because that way they can assimilate more easily. I'm not suggesting this is the case here, where you are putting over 1,000 men in just one place. I think that is a problem. And
so how would you feel? Say you woke up next week and they put a camp up with 1,250 blokes. What would your reaction be? Just be honest.
Are you still talking to me?
Yeah, Stella.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, back home back to where I'm from in Greece, they did put refugees across the street from where my parents live and where I grew up, and it was fine.
So how would you feel? Well, one more time. How would you feel in the UK, Stella? You woke up and then next week they'll open an asylum camp, and about 5 doors up there's 1,250 blokes from goodness knows where living in your street. How would you feel?
Yeah, they have to be put somewhere. Yeah, probably. There are all sorts of facilities that we would rather they weren't there, Ben. But I do not think that it is fair. So I feel like you're arguing with me right now, as if I'm somehow suggesting to you that this is the perfect solution.
No, I'm not arguing.
It is not. But there is. You do need to put asylum seekers somewhere until there is a decision about whether they are staying or whether they're being deported.
Right. Okay, Matt, how would you feel?
You don't need to put asylum seekers anywhere. They need to return to their countries, because the UK cannot afford this. And how I'd feel, Ben, if I lived in this town, I'd feel like I'd be this be extremely unfair. My understanding is that the politicians did not do any real conversations with people on the ground about this occurring and the lead up to this occurring. And I saw an interview with a father whose daughter is upset because she does not feel safe going for her daily runs outside. This is impacting the people in this town. What is the value of their home? If you want to sell your home, I can't imagine it's going to increase the value of your home, or probably decrease the value of your home. So this isn't a real negative impact, but it goes beyond just this one situation. This is a long-standing problem with immigration, whether it's asylum seekers or illegal immigration in the country. The country needs to get a much better process on this. They need to follow what President Trump has done, and we saw many of these same challenges under President Biden. So I can understand where the people of the UK are coming from here.
All right, Laurie, any thoughts, or should we move on?
We can move on. I just want to say one thing to tie it to here for your viewers, if that's cool. Here in the United States recently, Donald Trump came out with an executive order saying that Haitians were one of the groups that were going to lose their temporary protective status. And now we're seeing in Ohio, Springfield, Ohio, for example, that is the Republicans even are coming out and asking Donald Trump to extend basically waivers for a lot of these individuals in Springfield, Ohio, which he made claims in 2024 that they were eating pets and
They're eating the dogs.
Eating the dogs,
They're
which
eating
was
the cats.
absolute BS claim. Because they have assimilated, they have contributed to the community and economy, and now they're afraid because of the numbers that it would absolutely drastically change in a negative way their town, that they've come back the other way. So all I'm trying to say, Ben, is just be careful what you wish for or ask for, that you know what you're doing, because as Stella was saying, just like these camps or these internment places that you're calling them, whatever, are going to house people in communities, this also, when people come to communities, yanking them out years later, that also changes communities too.
Well, as Matt said, they shouldn't be there in the first place. All this talk about, should we put them in hotels, or maybe we'll put them in HMOs, or maybe we'll put them in a former military barracks, or maybe we should just give them a brand new housing estate. They just shouldn't be here in the first place. We're the only nation who behaves in such an insane way. Yes, Stella?
Or Ben, maybe don't bomb their houses in the first place. Have you thought about that? I mean, every time we talk about Iran, have you thought about maybe... Have you thought about maybe not bombing their houses so that there are less refugees? Have we thought about that at all?
Exactly.
Why did we ever...
No one
when
ever
we talk
talks
about Iran,
that.
when we talk about Iran, why...
Who did we bomb in Sudan and Eritrea?
We have... I mean, I'm sorry, I should not be saying we. It's not... I have nothing to do with that.
Who did the West bomb in Eritrea and Sudan?
But whenever we talk
Who did the West
about
bomb in
refugees,
Eritrea and Sudan?
All the refugees here
in Somalia?
All the refugees here are not from Sudan. They are not all from Sudan. Although
they're all from France, as it turns out.
Although you could argue that our allies of the UK and the US do have involvement in these conflicts, but there are refugees also coming from Palestine, from Gaza. There are refugees who will be coming from Iran. There are loads of refugees from Afghanistan,
from Ukraine.
Yes. Why don't we make any points about that?
Well, there is a fundamental difference between the Ukrainian refugees and what we're seeing from the African subcontinent. Culturally, it's massive. Some cultures are more compatible than others, shall we say. And that is 100% demonstrably true. And having met with both Ukrainian refugees, who were all women and children, by the way, because the men stayed and fought, and the type of refugees, the illegal refugees that you're talking about, Stella, they have a very different...
Precisely.
Economic outlook. The Ukrainians want to come and go back. The guys from Eritrea, they want to come and stay, and they don't particularly want to contribute. So there is a massive world of difference, and they disproportionately commit a number of crimes as well.
Then we need to be extra careful with their countries.
Well, I think Ben's already tried to point this out.
All right, we're moving on. We're going to move on. I just can't believe we're playing this game. We're playing again as if, just gaslighting everybody, saying, well, what's the difference between Ukrainians and someone from Somalia? I mean, come on. I wasn't going to save my breath. It's going to be a long evening otherwise. A Home Office spokesman has said robust age assessments are a vital tool in maintaining border security. As part of our work to make this process more robust and consistent, we are exploring cutting-edge AI technology to verify migrants' ages. This is about the lad who had a beard. The government is firmly committed to removing those here who don't have any right to be here, with nearly 70,000 returned since coming into office. When challenged about the expansion plans earlier this month, Jake Richards, the Justice Minister, said the military sites that we're proposing to use are large sites. They're more contained. I understand there will always be opposition to such proposals as we're setting out today, but ultimately the question for politicians when you're in government is what are your priorities? And we made a promise to the British people that we would close these hotels, which have caused so much angst, so much anxiety and so much pain across the country, and we will do just that. Now, that might mean difficult decisions, but we will do as the Home Secretary has said, whatever it takes to close these hotels, get a grip of our borders and fix the asylum system, and we'll do that. I'll just say, nobody cares whether they're in hotels or migrant camps or HMOs. The problem is they are free to roam the streets of Britain. It doesn't matter what bed they're sleeping in, whether they're in a bunk bed or sleeping on a mattress on the floor. It does not matter. The government think people care that they're in hotels. It doesn't matter. It's the fact they're allowed to roam the streets of Britain. We don't know who they are, where they're from, what their intentions are. We don't have an iota about them. So nobody cares, government. Let me tell you now, nobody cares where they're staying. HMOs, people's houses, someone's garden shed, a military camp. If they're free to roam the streets, that is the concern, especially for the safety of women and children. I just can't believe we're playing this game still. It drives me bonkers. Right, still ahead on the Late Show Live this evening.
So what if they verify news thoroughly? What has the BBC ever done for me?
Aren't you on the weakest link?
Yeah, Oi, you've got a show on Radio 2 as well.
And a hip-hop podcast on Sounds.
All right, mate. Oh.
Well, they're down on licence fee money, but they're spending some of it on a new ad full of its highest paid celebrity stars to make the case for its licence fee. But is the Beeb really worth it? We'll be getting stuck into that in just a tick. Here's your weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's a little bit fresh out there for some of us first thing today, but it won't take very long at all for it to warm up with that strong July sunshine. But it will be a little bit cloudy compared to recent days. In actual fact, through this morning at least, there could be one or two light showers for some of us, particularly northeast England, running down towards the East Midlands, the Wash, and northern parts of Scotland will stay fairly cloudy through this afternoon too. Otherwise, though, the cloud will tend to break up, and there'll be some sunny spells actually for many of us by this afternoon. The most prolonged sunny spells for Wales, the southwest, and mainland parts of Scotland too, where we'll see temperatures climb up to around 23 to 26 degrees Celsius once again. So a very warm end to the day. For East Anglia, though, the southeast, the cloud might just about be thick enough even late this afternoon, just to bring the odd very isolated light shower, mainly in coastal spots, possibly also for northern England as well, but for many parts of Northern Ireland, central and southern Scotland, it will be a fine end to the day with plenty of warm sunshine. For the islands and the Highlands of Scotland, though, for Shetland and Orkney, here quite a lot of low cloud probably persisting through the day, and increasingly so through this evening and overnight we'll see the cloud thicken further, so some longer spells of light rain and drizzle are possible. Otherwise, though, it'll be a dry night, generally speaking, with prolonged clear periods, and temperatures once again in the countryside could well fall down into mid to single figures. So it will be a widely comfortable night for sleeping. Temperatures in the towns and cities holding up at between 13 and 15 degrees perhaps, but certainly not anything particularly humid or warm. Now for Tuesday, it's going to be a fine day for England and Wales. Plenty of sunshine, sunnier day to come probably compared to on Monday in the east. Cloudier for Northern Ireland, one or two light showers pushing into the very far north, and more general cloud and bits and pieces of rain perhaps once again for the north and the northwest of Scotland. In the best of the sunshine though, temperatures into the 20s widely, and probably a warmer day in the south with highs of 25 to 27 degrees.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Here at GB News, we made a promise to tell your stories. And on the 6th of August, we're marking 5 years of doing exactly that.
Celebrate with us by having your say. Join in the debates live on TV and radio.
And meeting your favourite presenters across the country, from Leeds to Aberdeen, from Belfast to Barry Island.
Plus, join me in Essex for our biggest live show of the year. Scan the QR code or visit gbnews.com/celebrate. Terms and conditions apply.
Right, it's a story that's gripping America for all the wrong reasons, actually. Laurie, sit yourself down. There you go. You're in vision. Here you go. You're back on air. Right, it's a story that's gripping America, not least Laurie, who's very excited about it. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, has confirmed last Friday that a lettuce supplier to fast food giant Taco Bell has been linked to a nationwide outbreak of explosive diarrhea. The symptoms include uncontrollable diarrhea, weight loss, as well as cramping and fever. Children or people with weakened immune systems are considered most at risk. Taylor Farms, the farm responsible, said in a statement on Friday that it was voluntarily removing all iceberg lettuce sourced from central Mexico from the US market. I have to say, on my travels with England fans at the World Cup over the past couple of weeks, I'd say dozens I met were struck down with this. Taylor Farms said in a comment, as a family-owned and operated company, we're deeply concerned for those who became ill, their families, and the many Americans whose trust in the safety of their fresh produce has been shaken, the statement said. Matt Terrell, this is, we're laughing about this, but actually it's very serious. Thousands of people affected. People now in the United States not buying lettuce or not eating at, say, for example, Taco Bell, where they source their lettuce from Mexico.
Yeah, obviously, I'm sure whoever comes down with this are okay, and obviously the health of everybody who's impacted by this certainly matters. But look, at the end of the day, my understanding, listening to the experts on this, medical experts, this is going to pass. This is going to be something that's going to pass through. These things do occur in our food supplies. I think it's a real discussion to have around food supply here in the United States. No question about that. But obviously, you want to ensure people are safe and secure when they're eating food. And typically, fast food, at least from my perspective, you tend to have less of these kind of situations.
Yes.
I mean, President Trump, for example, famously eats at McDonald's a lot. Everyone thinks it's because he loves McDonald's. He does. But he did it because it was, in his view, a very clean, safe way to go. You're dealing with mass production in many cases here.
I've always thought that, yeah.
Yeah. So,
do they not grow lettuce in the United States? Why does Taco Bell get it from Mexico?
No, that's where this lettuce was coming from, was in Salinas, the area of Salinas, California, is where this farm. And if you look, they've also...
I thought it was from Mexico.
They serve Mexico. They get some of their lettuce from there, but that's where I want to bring this up.
Taco Bell said, or Taylor Farms said, they're voluntarily removing all iceberg lettuce sourced from central Mexico.
So they were able to finally source it, is what I'm trying to say. The main hub of this farm is in California. They also have other farm locations in other, like Mexico, for example. The reason why it took so long was because I learned that the FDA does not track. Ben, I'm sure you should have a problem with this. They don't track which distributors source to different grocery stores or to different restaurants, for example. So it actually, what connected the dots were people that got sick at a Taco Bell. So many of them connecting the dots to, okay, it happened at these Taco Bells. They all said they had something containing lettuce. Then they were able to trace it to the farm. It blows my mind that here in the United States that we don't have a database like that the FDA is hooked up to so they can track easily when we have these kinds of cases.
I mean, I don't think the UK has that. So sorry, just explain again that you can't believe what? So you want the FDA to track every lettuce supplier to... So you're saying restaurants or fast food should log where they source their ingredients?
So if you're doing beef, for example, you're able to track that.
Yes, yeah.
Right, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like there's barcodes, there's
Got
for
it.
every... They don't do that necessarily with lettuce or some of the produce items because they sell to distributors. And then the distributors sell to other entities or grocery stores or fast food chains or smaller chains, for example.
Got it.
So there's not one centralized database that's looking at all of those
So Taco Bell would say, we get our lettuce from Taylor Farms based in California, but without...
I'm going to stand up for you because I love you, Taco Bell. You're my only fast food place, and I even got Bev Turner here in the United States to try you, by the way.
I think it's vile.
I don't know. Should there be a lawsuit that you all are looking into? Because every line on every media is about Taco Bell. It should be Taylor Farms. Yeah, it should not be Taco Bell. Yeah. Like, they're getting a bad rap for this. I mean, I'm sure they're going to civilly go after them or something.
Well, they actually did have a lawsuit. So in Ohio, an individual did sue a local
But every headline, though, is Taco Bell.
I think Taco Bell has like an over 60% approval rating from my understanding. I mean, look, they're going to survive this. Obviously, thoughts are with the people who are impacted by it. It's been with meat, E. coli. You've had things over the years with these fast food chains and other restaurants. Just got to be mindful of it.
Okay, quick word to Paul and Stella. Briefly, if you can, guys, we're squeezed for time. Front page of the Telegraph, slightly on topic. Onions are off the menu across France as heatwave decimates crops. So no lettuce in the US and onions off the market in France, Paul.
I just knew you were coming to me first. Obviously, salad is the staple of my diet, Ben. Look, I don't eat Taco Bell, actually. I do like onions and I do like lettuce. They go fantastically with the burgers that I eat. So I do like those things. But yeah, I mean, we're seeing big heat waves across Europe, Ben. You'll probably see one again next week when you come across. And of course, that climate change is going to affect the way that we farm things.
All right. Stella, very quickly, 20 seconds, please.
Yeah, so sad. Oh my God, they're not going to be able to eat onion soup in France. That's terrible.
Oh, French onion soup.
Climate change is getting worse, Ben. We need to double down on net zero. I think that's the only solution.
No.
We should be growing our own onions.
Croissants, and then I'm like charging.
Okay. Thank you guys, appreciate it. We should be growing our own onions. Let's yeah, I don't know, just stuff the French. Right, coming up on the Late Show Live in just a tick.
When we came out of the EU, we took back full legal control. Sorry,
a stick with which your critics beat your old party.
Nonsense. Nonsense. I took back control.
Is Boris Johnson one of the worst prime ministers we've ever had? He's now said that the Boris wave, where 1.2 million came to Britain, he's blaming lefty Remainer civil servants. Does he have any sense of responsibility? Back in just a tick on the Late Show Live. Don't go anywhere.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's a little bit fresh out there for some of us first thing today, but it won't take very long at all for it to warm up with that strong July sunshine. But it will be a little bit cloudy compared to recent days. In actual fact, through this morning at least, there could be one or two light showers for some of us, particularly northeast England, running down towards the East Midlands, the Wash, and northern parts of Scotland will stay fairly cloudy through this afternoon too. Otherwise, though, the cloud will tend to break up, and there'll be some sunny spells actually for many of us by this afternoon. The most prolonged sunny spells for Wales, the southwest, and mainland parts of Scotland too, where we'll see temperatures climb up to around 23 to 26 degrees Celsius once again. So a very warm end to the day. For East Anglia, though, the southeast, the cloud might just about be thick enough even late this afternoon, just to bring the odd very isolated light shower, mainly in coastal spots, possibly also for northern England as well, but for many parts of Northern Ireland, central and southern Scotland, it will be a fine end to the day with plenty of warm sunshine. For the islands and the Highlands of Scotland, though, for Shetland and Orkney, here quite a lot of low cloud probably persisting through the day, and increasingly so through this evening and overnight we'll see the cloud thicken further, so some longer spells of light rain and drizzle are possible. Otherwise, though, it'll be a dry night, generally speaking, with prolonged clear periods, and temperatures once again in the countryside could well fall down into mid to single figures. So it will be a widely comfortable night for sleeping. Temperatures in the towns and cities holding up at between 13 and 15 degrees perhaps, but certainly not anything particularly humid or warm. Now for Tuesday, it's going to be a fine day for England and Wales. Plenty of sunshine, or sunnier day to come probably compared to on Monday in the east. Cloudier for Northern Ireland, one or two light showers pushing into the very far north, and more general cloud and bits and pieces of rain perhaps once again for the north and the northwest of Scotland. In the best of the sunshine though, temperatures into the 20s widely, and probably a warmer day in the south with highs of 25 to 27 degrees.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray,
Are you a human trafficker?
boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christys tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Here at GB News, we made a promise to tell your stories. And on the 6th of August, we're marking 5 years of doing exactly that.
Celebrate with us by having your say. Join in the debates live on TV and radio.
And meeting your favourite presenters across the country, from Leeds to Aberdeen, from Belfast to Barry Island.
Plus, join me in Essex for our biggest live show of the year. Scan the QR code or visit gbnews.com/celebrate. Terms and conditions apply.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches,
from football to tennis, in the car,
in the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there with the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again.
To start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way. You will not want to miss it, trust me.
The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Morning to you, live from Washington DC. This is GB News with the stories shaping Britain and America.
Because I think he's a lovely man, but I said, you're really messing up energy. You have windmills all over the place. In the meantime, you have the North Sea oil, and they won't let anybody drill.
Well, President Trump, a long-standing critic of Keir Starmer's net zero zealotry, but he now says that the people of Aberdeen have been dancing in the streets as Andy Burnham reportedly set to open up North Sea drilling. Also tonight.
Let's make sure it's boldly, confidently, authentically Labour, that we're the party that people remember, on their side and working hard for them.
Well, a little bit later today, Monday, Andy Burnham will be making his way to Downing Street as a new era in British politics begins. But who will be his Chancellor? And any chance of a general election, Andy? Also tonight. Spain have been crowned World Cup champions after a tense 1-0 win against Argentina. They battered them for 120 minutes. We'll have a full review of all the festivities coming up shortly. Also,
Fliss? Yeah. Is that short for Felicity?
Yeah.
Lovely. Off you go, Fliss.
well, we'll be getting stuck into this next. It used to be that the case that when you're at the Scouts, you'd be taught to build shelters, maybe tie knots, go camping, make fires. Now, a branch of the Scout Association has encouraged children to paint for Gaza, including paintings talking about from the river to the sea. Is this anything other than indoctrination? Happy to have answers on a postcard on that.
When we came out of the EU, we took back full legal control. Sorry.
It's a stick with which your critics beat your old party.
Nonsense. Nonsense. I took back control.
Boris Johnson once again scrutinised on his record on mass migration. His latest culprit, the Remainer civil servants. He's thrown them under the bus. Does he have a point, or is he maybe deflecting responsibility? And
So what if they verify news thoroughly? What has the BBC ever done for me?
Aren't you on the weakest link? Yeah, you've got a show on Radio 2 as well.
And a hip-hop podcast on Sounds.
All right, mate.
Dear oh dear, all rather desperate, isn't it? The BBC's rolled out a new ad full of its highest paid celebrities to make the case for its licence fee. But here's the big question, is the Beeb really worth it? I'm Ben Leo and this is The Late Show Live. Good morning to you. Happy Monday. I'm wishing you a very good week ahead. Joining me in Washington this evening is my panel. Former Chief of Staff to Marco Rubio, Matt Terrell, former Obama Policy Advisor Laurie Watkins, and in London, political commentator Stella Chantakidou and GB News Chief Gammon, Paul Cox. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Stella. Appreciate you being with us. Right, let's move on to our big story this hour, and this one's nuts. It's crazy. The Scouts Association has opened an investigation after a branch from Muslim Scouts encouraged children to take part in a Paint for Gaza competition. Artwork shared online included the phrase "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free," prompting complaints that it breached the organisation's commitment to political neutrality. The Scouts say the complaint is being taken seriously and will be thoroughly investigated. With me now is political commentator, friend of the show, Fahima Mohammed. Fahima, good to see you. Thanks for your company at this hour. Do you see an issue with Scouts who should normally, I don't know, be making fires, learning to tie knots? Should they be making political paintings like this, regardless of whether it's Gaza or bigging up MAGA and President Trump?
Well, I think we need to first separate three things that this headline deliberately bundles together: compassion for children in Gaza, political education, and extremist indoctrination. So when we're asking children to create artwork showing solidarity with Palestinian children, it's not inherently sinister. Scouts openly supported Ukrainian children after Russia's invasion, raised humanitarian awareness, and spoke about peace, and nobody called that indoctrination. Palestinian children are equally human, and Muslim children in Britain should not be treated as suspicious merely because they expressed concern for them. However, the phrase "from the river to the sea" is deeply contested. Many Palestinians and Orthodox Jews understand it as a demand for freedom and equal rights, and some Jewish people hear it as denying Israel's existence. So that adult supervision of children should therefore explain that controversy rather than, just placing it as a sort of slogan in sort of children's mouths. And we should not turn a child's art project supporting Gaza into another insinuation that Muslim organizations are grooming children into sort of indoctrination. Compassion is not terrorism. Palestinian identity is not Hamas. And recognizing one set of suffering does not require denying another. We've also had Benjamin Netanyahu in 2024, in January, say in the future the state of Israel has to control the entire area from the river to the sea. He made this while rejecting the creation of the Palestinian state and arguing that Israel must retain security control over all the territory between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea, and there's no outrage there.
All right. Would you support Scouts if they were painting pro-Trump stones and backing his calls for to tackle migration, keeping the people of America safe, the children of America slain by illegals? Would you be okay with that?
If it is something to do with, against sort of crime, if it's, teaching children about humanitarian causes, things like that, then there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, if children, Muslim Scouts...
So just to clarify, you'd have no problem with that? You'd have no problem with kids in the UK at Scouts?
Sorry,
go on. Sorry, there's a bit of a delay, so it's a bit awkward. So you'd have no problem with children in the UK at Scouts writing, painting, making paintings saying, "Big up MAGA, protect the people of America from illegal migration." You're happy with that?
That is not something that is humanitarian. Okay, at the end of the day,
yes,
this
it is
something
to the American people.
It's a false equivalence. It's a false equivalence.
It's not. It's the same thing. Whatever your perception on it, some people could say, well, illegal immigration into America protects American people. There's been dozens of incidences where people, Lake and Riley, slain by people who shouldn't be here. If you're happy with children painting "From the river to the sea" for Gaza on stones, you must be happy with, at the same time as, for example, somebody painting, secure America's borders, protect American children. It's the same thing.
I don't see why that should be something that children should be worrying about when it comes to protecting borders. That's probably criminal activity.
Oh, so why should they worry about what's going on in Gaza?
That is criminal activity. If you're trying to say that children need to be aware about criminal activity, that is different. You can't equivalent children suffering and dying in Gaza with people that are coming over, and that is a political statement which is slightly different. Do you not understand that? That is a false equivalence.
Yeah, you don't need to ask if I understand things, Fahima. I understand things very well. Okay, so you think one is okay, one isn't. That's fine. I think you've exposed your double standards there.
That's not
from the river to the sea. Hang on a minute. From the river to the sea means from the Jordanian River to the Mediterranean Sea. So if that's the case, that would be the eradication of Israel, no? Unless I'm got something wrong there.
No, that's freedom. A lot of people refer to that as freedom and equality, not eradication. The Jews are not there to be eradicated by majority of Muslims, and majority of even the Orthodox Jews say the same statement. So again, if people are using those statements and to hijack that for the wrong reasons, then that is incorrect. That's why I said at the beginning that needs to be explained about certain regions where we see people in Palestine that are in a sort of apartheid state, where they're not allowed in certain areas, where you see in the West Bank as well, where there are being illegal settlement. You don't want to discuss that and talk about that. You don't want to discuss anything when it comes to the government.
I've talked about Israel all the time, Fahima. I talk about Israel taking over the West Bank all the time, the Israeli extremists kicking Palestinians out the West Bank all the time. It's disgusting. I talk about it all the time. I'm just trying to... the question is, I don't want to get bogged down in a discussion about Israel and Gaza. I just don't know why you'd want to expose kids to all sorts of political stuff, news and wars. They're at Scouts to learn how to make campfires and tie knots and have fun with their mates. Why do you want them to be exposed to any... Again, I've come back to this example, to any sort of political exposure. Let kids be kids. I don't understand what the issue is. Why people have to throw their adult baggage on children. Do you not agree with that, at least?
It's not about that. I mean, I think that at the same time, when we are teaching children in the Scouts, it is all about an initiative to have a particular focus.
What's Gaza got to do with the Scouts?
Like I said, it's different countries with different laws, and at the same time, when it comes to the Scouts, they did the same thing for Ukraine, and there was no outrage. So this is not, like I said, a logo for political sort of like,
I'd rather they didn't do it for Ukraine.
Anything like that. It is about children.
First, I've heard of it, but I'd rather they didn't do it for Ukraine. First, I've heard of it. I'll say the same thing. I don't want kids learning about war in Ukraine and Russia. If I send my child to Scouts and I'm paying good money for it, I want them to learn how to be practical in the wild, and like I said, have fun with their kids, go camping, look at the stars, cook some marshmallows over the campfire. What's wrong with people?
It's just culturally informing, and it's just about within sort of like the parental sort of guidelines and safeguarding. It's with teachers to just make people aware. Sometimes even if you want your kids to be grateful, you teach them about the poor, you teach them about people that actually are deprived, and this is one of the lessons. That are people across the world that don't have what we have, so that's raising awareness. There is nothing wrong with that. There's nothing political about that.
Okay.
Things and people suffer, and we teach our children so that they can be grateful. They can grow up also as humans, so that they can understand that they can be better people. I give that advice as well to adults who do not feel fulfilled, who have mental health, to realize that actually when you go and give yourself voluntarily to do things, that can actually help and ease whatever you're going through when it comes to challenges. And it's the same with children. The Scouts is there, yes, to do all of that, but it's still about humanitarian reasons, and to teach children to also be disciplined and behaved, and to do many things mentally and physically. So there's nothing that is going beyond the Scouts when you're talking about that. Maybe that's your memory when you were younger. Maybe there weren't certain things that was taught, but now, because people are talking about things, and it is very much widely out there, where children are being bombed and they are still suffering up till today, then just to show a bit of compassion by drawing, that is nothing wrong with. And if there is a complaint, it is being investigated, but it doesn't mean that it's actually wrong.
Well, that's going to be my last question. So you think the Scouts here who are investigating, I think they've raised some concern about it, you think they're wrong, the Scouts?
I don't think the skirts are wrong. I think if they want to have an investigation to see how that has been, portrayed and be more sort of clear as to why and what they did, there's nothing wrong with that. Anyone can bring an allegation and it can be investigated. Doesn't mean that allegation is going to take it any further. I think this is just being blown out of proportion because it's, kids in Gaza. If it was anywhere else, I don't really think you have that sort of, or anyone else would have that much of a concern. I honestly don't believe that. As people say on the panel, oh, it's a different culture. Yeah, we have different cultures, whether it's food, whether it's dress. There is no culture and there's no ethnicity for crimes and heinous, horrendous things. That happens in every background, including in the UK, for people that are native and, indigenous. So when people talk like that, they just have their own bigotry and bias.
Oh, okay. Well, so everyone's racist now. Actually, I was more concerned about the fact that kids just can't be kids. Either they're being exposed to trans ideology, or my 6-year-old just had his first sex ed class at school. I think far too early. He's 6. He's been learning about all, the female and male anatomy. I think that's too early. Just let kids be kids. That's my point.
No, but the thing is, Ben, we are exposed to it. When even my children were in primary school, you would see people coming to pick up their children, whether they're dressed, in a different gender. They talk about their uncles being, from a, whether
well,
it's
they should stop. I don't want my kids learning about heterosexual relationships. I don't want my children.
It's exposure anyway, so it's education. It's education. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, it's not. I do not want my children. Fever, stop talking for 1 second. Stop talking for 1 second. I do not want my children knowing about heterosexual sex, gay sex, trans, bombing in Gaza, trench warfare in Russia and Ukraine. They are children. They are gifts from God, pure as anything, unburdened by the baggage and the psychologically damaged adults of our world. Just let them be kids. If I send my child to Scouts, I want them to learn, have fun with their mates, have a laugh and think what a jolly good time they had roasting marshmallows over the campfire. I don't want them to know about any of it. It's a load of crap.
Well,
so that's my point. I don't care if it's Muslims or Gaza or Palestine.
No, we don't live in a utopian world. They are exposed to a lot. So if it's actually done in a safe space, I did volunteer.
Well, stop exposing them. It's
Children
easy.
do actually ask a lot of questions anyways, where even the teachers are put on spots. So at the same time, don't think that children are that innocent. They are there to learn and to learn safely.
Well, they're not innocent anymore when adults are corrupting their minds.
They're exposed to channels like this who talk, one-sided.
My kids aren't on social media.
And at the same time, these things do happen, but if it's done in showing compassion, showing humanitarian, being grateful, understanding that there are people in the world that are suffering, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's not exposure indoctrination. That is just education. That's the reason how they grow and learn and be grateful, and their mindset is actually a lot better. And I'm a mental health certified practitioner, so this is not something that I'm saying just because I'm saying it because it's just, for the argument. I actually treat, patients and clients in this way. So this is not something that is wrong, that is being said to children. It's not exposure where you're actually showing them the bombings and the pictures and things like that. That's just showing that the other side of the world is not as great. We are living in the West.
Well, you keep showing your kids pictures of bombed out countries in the Middle East, and I'll keep showing them Pokemon cards and.
That's not shown.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Fahima. Appreciate the feisty debate. Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a good week. Right. Panel. I just preferred my childhood when I was playing N64 games and playing football in the streets, and wasn't exposed to the ills of this world. They've got plenty of time to do that. Childhood goes in a flash. So I don't know why kids have to go to Scouts and start learning about Gaza and Ukraine and warfare, and it just makes me sick. Anyone, Paul?
Well, I didn't realise, God bless Fahima, by the way. Fair play for her coming on, and I think it was me she was referring to, by the way. I said that some cultures are not compatible with others, so if that makes me a bigot, I'm okay with that. Hang on.
Well, that's the other thing. That's the other thing. It all comes back to racism, doesn't it? Instead of being concerned about kids being exposed to damaged adults, it's, you're just a bigot, Stella. I'm just racist.
I think that Fahima did a very good job there. She put up a very good fight. Of course, children know there is a war going on. They can see that.
Only because you tell them.
They can. No. The TV is there. They are on social media. They are everywhere. They are exposed to this information. This information is everywhere. Of course, they know there is a war going on. Of course course they know there is a war going on. And you knew there were wars going on. And we're not talking here about, I don't know, taking a toddler who can't speak. I mean, they are scouts. So I don't know, how old were these scouts who were...
Well, probably 11 plus.
Yeah, from the way, from the drawings that we saw, I imagine that they were preteens at the very least. So you are telling me that these kids do not know that there is a war going on in Gaza, that they haven't seen the suffering of other kids. This has happened, and throughout the years, now it's Gaza. A few years back it was another war. A few years from now it may be another war. They are just painting drawings and sending them to other children. And you were telling Fahima, can I have kids in America paint drawings for British children who are in danger for migrants? What are you talking about, Ben? There isn't a war going on in the UK.
No. You can't take one. You can't take one political example and then, because it's another involving Trump and migration, say, "Oh no, that doesn't count because it's not Palestinian kids."
But
it's
what
the same
are you
thing.
talking
You're
about?
talking about.
There isn't a war. It's not a war.
You
Is it
hear
a
what I'm
war?
talking about.
Are you going to? Are you going? I mean, okay, sure.
It
Let's
is a war.
also.
Many Americans consider the illegal migration invasion of America a war. People have died. Matt Terrell, how many people have died?
Yeah, far too many people have died because of an open border under President Biden. That's a fact. The bottom line here is what you're seeing is indoctrinating our kids at a young age. And it's not just painting. My understanding is one of the paintings was encouraging students to paint the colors of the Palestinian flag over the country of Israel. That's not just painting. This is anti-Semitic behavior in many people's views, and they're doing it on purpose. They're indoctrinating these kids at a very young age, and they're doing it on our college campuses. You're seeing our leaders, such as Mayor Mamdani of New York, saying things that many would argue are anti-Semitic rhetoric. You're seeing it throughout the Democrat Party. The bottom line here, this is not just painting. This is very violent rhetoric. When people hear these kind of words, they see it as wanting to take over the country of Israel. That's how many people in Israel and many Jewish people feel. And you're seeing this rise of anti-Semitism around the world. You're seeing it here in the United States. And the Democrat Party, adults, we're not talking about kids now, we're talking about adults in Congress, for example, have said many similar things. This rise of anti-Semitism is extraordinarily dangerous. And Ben, you were spot on. It's all tolerant left. It's all, fine if it's pushing their ideology. But you're right. If the second you talk about the border, securing our borders, protecting our people from violent illegal immigrants, well, then that's unacceptable. We can't possibly teach our kids about that. None of this belongs in Scouts. It doesn't belong in our classrooms. It's ridiculous.
Laurie?
Do I have time to comment? Because I don't want to be cut off. Okay, great. I want to kind of try to take the temperature back down real quick. And from the topic that we were given to talk about was about Scouts, not about radical liberals and anti-Semitism.
Well, it is anti-Semitic. When you're saying from the river to the sea, many Jews. Well, no, you can bring up a point. I'm going to come back at you. You can answer after this. We've got 40 minutes.
So when you
say from the river to the sea, many Jews consider that to be the eradication of Israel. No,
I'm done.
We've got 40 minutes. You can respond.
Oh, I thought you were saying I always take 40 minutes and you want me to wrap it up.
No, I'm saying we've got 40 minutes to discuss this if you want.
So the Scouts here in America, I can only speak of, they recently changed their name over the last couple of years, and they used to be, the Boy Scouts of America. Now they're changed to Scouts for America because it includes Boys and Girl Scouts. Okay. You were saying, Ben, to Fatima earlier about I think you were purporting the mission of the Scouts to be, which you were saying to start mostly outdoor activities. That's actually the last line of their mission. It's to prepare young people to make ethical and moral choices over their lifetimes by teaching values, leadership, citizenship, service, and the last, and outdoor skills. And I say that because I am the person that I am today, and the causes that I take up for, and the reason I sit here at this desk and stand up for people to have comprehensive immigration reform here in the United States and people that come from other countries. And you can roll your eyes, Ben, whatever you want to do. It's disrespectful, to say the least.
I didn't roll my eyes. I don't know what you're talking about, Laurie. I didn't roll my eyes at all. Play the clip back if you want. I didn't roll my eyes.
Is this simple fact. Is that when I was young and in youth group at my Methodist church, we did things exactly like this. There is nothing about that flyer that is anti-Semitic. It is a service project.
Jewish people think it is. Jewish people think from the river to the sea is anti-Semitic.
I'm just curious, have you ever considered homeschooling your children?
I have actually after this week, but it's a different conversation.
Okay. Well, I think that you should really talk to your family about that, because you don't want them to be exposed to things that are happening in the outside world.
No, I don't, because
and maybe have a more sheltered life that, in my opinion, I don't think will serve them later in life. Then you should homeschool them, because
Thank you very much for
you
the
would have
advice.
control over that.
Thank you
if
for
you
the
don't
parenting
agree
advice.
with all of the things
Thank you for the parenting advice.
that
Laurie,
kids are learning on the streets.
Laurie, some people think that from the river to the sea, Jewish people think that means the eradication of Israel, from the Jordanian River to the Mediterranean Sea. So you're discounting that, saying it's not anti-Semitic, but Jewish people are telling you, and have been saying for years, off the back of a rise of anti-Semitism, that they feel that that means the eradication of Israel. So what's your response to that?
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
So painting things, kids doing that is anti-Semitic. That's what you're saying.
I'm talking about that phrase, which they were painting on the stones, from the river to the sea. Many Jewish people...
Where did it say on that flyer that they want them to paint that?
That's what's been reported. On the stones, they were painting from the river to the sea.
Are you suggesting, Ben, are you suggesting...
Hang on a minute, whoa. Hang on a minute.
You're mad about the event. If people did something at the... That's not what the flyer and
I'm not talking about the flyer, Laurie. I'm talking about, as reported in the detail of the story, that they were painting on stones off the back of this event, but with that flyer, from the river to the sea. That's what I was talking about with Fahima, and I'm saying Jewish people think that means the eradication of Israel. That's how they perceive it. So you're saying it's not anti-Semitic. What do you say to the Jewish people who think it is?
They have the right to their own feelings.
Doesn't matter. All right. Okay.
Yeah,
are you suggesting, Ben,
it's anti-Semitism? It's what it is. You can't deny that. And if you look, the bottom line here is we're seeing this rise of anti-Semitism. What we're also seeing is many people pushing an agenda that they want to push at a very young age with our kids, whether it's with transgender issues, whether it's with from the river to the sea. It's happening on our college campuses. And Ben, again, I go back to the point that has been brought up time and again here that you brought up wisely, is it's pushing one agenda. They're not wanting to talk about securing a border under President Trump. We're not going to talk to these scouts about that, are we? It's pushing a far left agenda.
Can I just say, Ben? Can I just
very much, guys? GBNews.com/you'll say. Paul, go on very quickly.
I'll be very quick. This is an excellent example of why kids do not need to be involved in partisan political rhetoric. This is totally unnecessary for them to be involved. We've just had 4 or 5 adults banging their gums together about things that exercise them. Everything Ben said with regards to protecting the sanctity of childhood is absolutely correct, irrespective of what you think. I grew up in the 80s. We had the IRA troubles with Ireland, with HIV and AIDS. Nothing like that got mentioned to me at Scouts and prepared me for the future. So I'm afraid it's not necessary. If you are so biased about your politics, wait until they're 18 and talk to them about it then.
Yeah, that's my point on all of this. Forget where you sit in politics, left, right, Israel, trans, not trans, open borders, migration, whatever. Just leave kids alone. Just leave them alone. They're exposed to too much nonsense anyway with early social media and being fed horrible diets at fast food. Just let kids be kids. That's my point. Anyway, the Scout Association said in response to this story, we're aware of this complaint and take the concerns raised very seriously. We have a robust process in place to ensure the matters of this nature are investigated thoroughly, impartially and fairly. The complaint is currently at an early stage and we're in the process of establishing the relevant facts. GB News has also contacted the Muslim Scout Fellowship for comments. We are awaiting reply. Right, let's move on to more lighter matters in terms of Boris Johnson, who's blamed pro-Remain civil servants for the post-Brexit surge in legal migration, claiming Whitehall feared Britain would become a leper colony after leaving the European Union. The former Prime Minister said officials encouraged higher immigration to fill jobs, particularly in social care, before his government moved to tighten the rules. His comments have been rejected by the former Tory Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, who is now at Reform, of course, who says ministers, not civil servants, blocked plans to cut migration. With me now is former Lib Dem councillor Matthew Holbrook. Matthew, good to see you. It sounds like Boris is throwing civil servants under the bus here. I don't know why he doesn't take responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's ministers who decide. And so ultimately, it is down to him. And of course, for those who see immigration, legal or otherwise, as a bad thing, they will no doubt be not very happy with Boris Johnson. But you've just had a very robust debate there, Ben. Let's see if we can have one here as well. I want to give you some reasons why immigration is a good thing. So, which is not always the easy thing to do on this channel, but I'm going to attempt to do it. So the NHS would collapse without immigration. Social care would collapse without immigration. Hospitality would collapse without immigration. Retail would collapse without immigration. And that's to name but a few. Immigration is a good thing.
Yeah, all right, yeah, it's great. I love it. More people, please. Let's keep going. Not a couple million, I think. That's great.
I mean, Ben, my friend, you know, you can be as sarcastic as you want to be, but what out of what I have just said there is untrue. Every single statement that I have just made is a statement of fact. All of those industries and services and social services would collapse in the UK, but for immigration.
Says who? Says who? Where did you get that from?
Well, just living in society. I mean, have you been to an NHS hospital?
You've seen out and about. You just noticed it. You just made a conclusion. You've been out and about. You've noticed that the NHS and retail and social care will collapse without migration. Any source for that?
Yes, because I've been in, you know, I've been in hospital and I've been in shops and, you know, I've been to services.
You've been in shops. Right, that's what we're dealing with now. Well, I've been in a shop. I've been in a shop, and I say that that retail will be fine without migration. So who wins?
Well, I win because it's just. I mean, there's been reports on these things that have said that, and well, you can laugh all you want. I don't really care less whether you sit there.
I'm laughing. I'm waiting for a source. Which report, Matthew?
There's been reports which have said that the NHS, I mean, anyone who attends an NHS hospital knows full well that, especially in terms, you know, of people in social care and people in some of the ancillary staff and all the rest of it, a lot of those jobs are taken up by immigrants to this country. And I say, thank goodness for them, thank God for them and the work that they do to serve us in our country. That's what I say.
Do you know what % of retail workers are foreign-born or non-UK nationals, Matthew?
Well, I mean, do feel free to tell me, Ben. I'll be gratefully to be enlightened.
But hang on a minute. You just said that you know that retail would collapse without migration, so you must know the figures.
No, come on. You tell me. Come on. Here we go.
So I'm asking you first. You don't know the answer.
I don't know the precise figure. No, but you know.
Okay.
What I'm saying to you
you
is...
don't know the figure. So you come on, hang on a minute. So you come on, you say the NHS will collapse, social care will collapse, retail will collapse. I said, what's your source? You said, well, I've been in a shop, and you don't even know what % of retail workers are foreign-born or non-UK nationals. Is that where we are?
Well, yeah, I'll answer your question when you answer my question, which is, are you denying that in hospitals and in social care, a lot of the jobs are taken up by people who've come here from other countries? Are you denying that? Are you really denying that, Ben?
No, I think off the... OK, look, no, a good proportion of doctors are foreigners. Do you know what % of doctors are foreigners in the NHS?
Well, I'm not a world expert on these things. I come on to debate the general point, Ben. If you want world expert, you're going to have to go for someone else.
I know the answer. I know the answer, and I partly agree with you on the NHS that we'd need more doctors. But you're the one saying, Matthew, come on, let's be serious. Look, we're both grown, intelligent men. You said the NHS will collapse, social care will collapse, and retail will collapse. You don't know what proportion of retail workers are foreign-born or non-UK nationals, and you don't know what proportion of UK doctors in the NHS are foreign-born either. I agree with you slightly on the NHS point. We just need to replace and train British doctors. But for retail, it's about 16%. Of retail workers are foreign-born. So retail absolutely would not collapse. It's just nonsense. So,
well, how many people?
I mean, it's just hyperbolic.
Well, how many? All right, how many people does that equate to? 16%. Come on, how many people would that equate to? That would equate to a lot of people, right?
Yeah, it would cause short-term supply issues of retail staff, but that's different to write-out collapse of the UK retail sector. It's just nonsense.
Well, you can call it nonsense all you want. I have broad shoulders. I didn't really, I'm not going to waste any tears on you calling it nonsense, Ben. What I'm saying to you, my friend, is that our country relies a lot on immigration. That's really my basic point to you.
Yeah.
And as I say, it's a difficult thing to come on and try and be pro-immigration on this channel, and I'm doing my best here and apparently failing, but I'm going to carry on nonetheless. What I'm trying to say to you is that immigration can be a good thing, and that our country would be poorer without it. That is my point.
No, I agree. Okay, yeah, thank you, and I appreciate you coming on and giving your point and your argument. But when you say that the reason I sounded so harsh there and went for you, Matthew, is because you came on and said the NHS, retail, and social care would all collapse and the UK would be nuked without migration, which just isn't true. So I'm gonna, as much as I appreciate you coming on and I enjoy your company, you're a good bloke, I will push back on it because that is just hyperbolic nonsense. But thank you anyway. Thank you for staying up, and I look forward to sparring with you again, Matthew, next time round. Thank you, mate. Matthew Holbert, former Liberal Democrat councillor. Paul Cox, we'll go to you first. Thoughts?
I know Matthew will be watching this as well, and I think you're right to push back on him. I didn't know the figures, but had ChatGPT at hand, and unfortunately for Matthew, his assertion that it would collapse doesn't stand up to scrutiny. We are reliant on cheap labour that often comes from legal immigration, sometimes illegal immigration, but it would not lead to the collapse whatsoever. And of course, that's demonstrable through the fact that we've not always had these levels of legal or illegal immigration. I've just made Stella yawn. This is a new low for me. Halfway through, she's just like, oh my God, Paul's talking again.
Stella.
So,
It's 2:30 a.m.
God, the blooming right-wing gammon's talking again. Look. God bless Matthew. God bless Matthew. He fought his corner well, and I think it'd be much better off just saying, you know, some of our industries do rely heavily on illegal immigration, but they wouldn't collapse without it because they existed long before it, is my point, Ben.
So I think I'm losing the plot. Stella, thank you. What's your thoughts on Boris? Let's go back to Boris as well.
Let's stick to the subject. Let's not talk about immigration and like top level. What I know happened, what I have read happened, and what have been told by people who worked in Boris Johnson's number 10. Stop it! His revenge. He's getting his revenge. Is that basically they were worried that, as you said, they were worried that they didn't know, the Home Office didn't have a clear picture of how many people were coming in, because during COVID nobody was coming in. So they did think, oh right, we need to get a bunch of people in. Let's make these rules. They seem to be working on paper. We think they're working on paper, and they just didn't realize how many people would actually show up, which sounds very strange to me, because there are studies that you can look from, for example, when the UK first entered the European Union. You can check studies from other countries. You can check surveys where people are asked, if you could move to any country, where would you move? And you can kind of predict the kind of demand that there was going to be. So I'm not buying it that it was just the civil service who allowed that. This is a political decision, and it was Boris Johnson and his government who did not make sure that there is some kind of backstop, there is some kind of limit or expectations of how many people they were going to accept.
Remarkable stuff, Ben. I almost fully agree with Stella there, on the basis that we did take back some control when we Brexited Europe. So it was well within our power, if that's the case, to have closed the borders down and not allowed 1 million people in. And if you're the Prime Minister, the buck stops with you. So I don't think Boris gets away with it not being called the Boris wave. And Stella's absolutely right. It was a political decision. They decided that, I believe they decided somewhere within Whitehall, the Conservatives included in this, that this extra 1 million people would help boost the economy after the pandemic. And I think that's backfired spectacularly.
And if you remember, there was the point that they were making at the time that, oh, now that we have left the EU, we are going to be a lot more equal with who we accept, and it's going to be the same standards from everyone across the world, not just the EU. There was a time where I remember the Conservative Party making the argument that it was almost, it was discriminatory to only accept people from the EU and not have the same standards from people outside the EU. And post-Brexit, this was the Brexiteer argument, post-Brexit, we can be an equal opportunities immigration country where we accept people from all over the world on the same standard.
Yeah, indeed. Oh, yeah, they all said it. They said, well, let's open up the doors to Singapore, to India, to everybody else. I will just say one last point on the NHS, for example, because Matthew brought it up. what happens is you have uncontrolled mass migration. It puts pressure on services such as the NHS, and then they go, oh no, we need more doctors because there's so many more people here. So then they get more people in migration to be doctors, and then they say, oh no, there's even more people here. We've got more pressure on services, so they get more people in. It's a never-ending death loop. It's
Look,
just, I just thought I'd
this
address
can be
that.
equated to the
Yeah,
fact that
we've got to move on.
Fahima is a mental health practitioner. She is creating, just by speaking, she makes my mental health go down. She's creating a market in which all the GB News watchers can sign up to be healed by her.
Oh, well, look, I disagree with Matthew and Fahima, but I respect them for coming on.
Damn it, you always say the right thing, Ben. Now I look bad.
I know, you just look like a bigot. All right, anyway, still ahead on The Late Show Live tonight.
So what if they verify news thoroughly? What has the BBC ever done for me?
Aren't you on The Weakest Link?
Yeah, oi, you've got a show on Radio 2 as well.
And a hip-hop podcast on Sounds.
All right, mate.
Could you imagine if GB News had the money and the resources that the BBC does? I mean, we'd cause some serious damage. Anyway, the Beeb has rolled out a new ad full of its highest paid celebrities to make the case for its licence fee. But is the Beeb really worth it? That's the big question. We've got to get a quick look at your weather. During the weather, think about it. Is the BBC worth it, the licence fee? Back in a tick.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's a little bit fresh out there for some of us first thing today, but it won't take very long at all for it to warm up with that strong July sunshine. But it will be a little bit cloudier compared to recent days. In actual fact, through this morning at least, there could be 1 or 2 light showers for some of us, particularly northeast England, running down towards the East Midlands, the Wash, and northern parts of Scotland will stay fairly cloudy through this afternoon too. Otherwise, though, the cloud will tend to break up, and there'll be some sunny spells actually for many of us by this afternoon. The most prolonged sunny spells for Wales, the southwest, and mainland parts of Scotland too, where we'll see temperatures climb up to around 23 to 26 degrees Celsius once again. So a very warm end to the day. For East Anglia, though, the southeast, the cloud might just about be thick enough even late this afternoon, just to bring the odd very isolated light shower, mainly in coastal spots, possibly also for northern England as well, but for many parts of Northern Ireland, central and southern Scotland, it will be a fine end to the day with plenty of warm sunshine. For the islands and the Highlands of Scotland, though, for Shetland and Orkney, here quite a lot of low cloud probably persisting through the day, and increasingly so through this evening and overnight we'll see the cloud thicken further, so some longer spells of light rain and drizzle are possible. Otherwise, though, it'll be a dry night, generally speaking, with prolonged clear periods, and temperatures once again in the countryside could well fall down into mid to single figures. So it will be a widely comfortable night for sleeping. Temperatures in the towns and cities holding up at between 13 and 15 degrees perhaps, but certainly not anything particularly humid or warm. Now for Tuesday, it's going to be a fine day for England and Wales. Plenty of sunshine, sunnier day to come probably compared to on Monday in the east. Cloudier for Northern Ireland, 1 or 2 light showers pushing into the very far north, and more general cloud and bits and pieces of rain perhaps once again for the north and the northwest of Scotland. In the best of the sunshine though, temperatures into the 20s widely, and probably a warmer day in the south with highs of 25 to 27 degrees.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Here at GB News, we made a promise to tell your stories. And on the 6th of August, we're marking 5 years of doing exactly that.
Celebrate with us by having your say. Join in the debates live on TV and radio.
And meeting your favourite presenters across the country, from Leeds to Aberdeen, from Belfast to Barry Island.
Plus, join me in Essex for our biggest live show of the year. Scan the QR code or visit gbnews.com/celebrate. Terms and conditions apply.
What has the BBC ever done for me?
Well, I did like EastEnders for starters. I think that's the Queen Vic. The BBC has launched a major advertising campaign featuring some of its biggest stars to defend the licence fee ahead of a review into the broadcaster's future funding. The campaign, which stars more than 90 celebs, asks whether the BBC is really worth it, despite many of its best-known presenters earning six-figure salaries. It comes as licence fee income is falling, the number of people paying the licence fee is dramatically collapsing, and ministers are now considering how the corporation should be funded in future. With me now is former BBC producer and editor John Mayer. John, good morning. Thank you for staying up with the Late Show Live. Appreciate it.
That's all right, Ben. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Is the BBC worth it?
Absolutely. I mean, this ad is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. It shows the wide range of BBC services. It shows how universal it is, how it goes across the piece, all the things it offers. By the way, why don't you dig out the archives, the John Cleese version of this from 2016? That's only 10 years ago. And you know what? In that, very many of the same things are offered there as now. So, you know, the universality is there. It will have to decrease with the licence fee. Now, let me give your viewers a recommendation. If you watch nothing else this week, watch Evolution with Chris Packham. It's a series about evolution, and it is brilliant. It is worth the license. It is absolutely worth the license fee on its own. It really is. It's five programs. So, you know, look, when the BBC needs to be attacked, we'll attack it. But, you know, this ad shows the wide range of things. You'd miss the BBC severely if it wasn't there. You really would. You know, so salute it, please. You know, but what I would question is, how much did it cost to make? And did the stars give their fees to the license fee? That's quite interesting. But you know, as a piece of television, how do they make it? It's absolutely brilliant. So yes, the BBC is absolutely worth it. But the BBC will be thinner. It will also, by the way, the license fee. You know, Lisa and Andy will have another job tomorrow. So who's the BBC negotiating with? And the new Director General is Fresh Air. I mean, he's honest. He says, John, you know, license fee is going to work.
Yeah, sounds like a good
Ben,
plan.
you want to come back on
John,
that?
Yes, please. If the BBC is so good and so respected and everybody loves its programming, why does it threaten to jail people who don't pay the licence fee? Why not go as per Netflix or Amazon Prime? Go to the market and let the people decide.
Well, as you very well know, Ben, very few people are jailed for not paying the licence fee. Very few. About 500,000 opted out of it last year, and that's because there's a campaign from the likes of you and the likes of the right-wing press against the BBC. And people think, oh well, I don't have to pay my licence fee anymore, you know, because nothing really is going to happen. So look, I mean, support the British Broadcasting Corporation because it's part of our national culture, and support the new Director General because he is very good news. I've seen him twice appear in Parliament in the last 2 weeks, and he actually knows his onions and he knows what's needed. He actually is honest and says the licence fee is bust. We need to find some other way of financing the BBC.
OK, so do you agree with Samir Shah, then, the chairman, who has said that? I mean, that's kind of my question to you. If the BBC is so good and so respected and everybody's scrambling around to watch great BBC productions and news and radio, why not just go to the market? That is the true test of integrity, of competence, of a product. Why do you force people to pay?
It goes to the audience market, Ben. You know, it goes to how many people watched the England match the other day? Did you know the figure? How many people watched the England match on the BBC? 24
like 17
million.
million or something.
No, 24 million. How many watched the England match in the middle of the night against Mexico? 9.1 million. So it does go to the market. It goes to an audience market, and by and large, it's getting good audiences.
My point is, John, why? My point, with respect, John, is why force people and indeed threaten them with prison to pay up or else? If it's so good, why not? As I keep saying, just go. Don't force people. Don't threaten them to do it. What are you scared of?
That's the way we've all. Ben, that's the way we've always financed public service broadcasting in this country. We have to find new and better ways of doing that. But, you know, how else do you get good programs? Look, I mean, you know, how do you get Netflix? You pay for it. How do you get Prime Video? You pay for it. How do you get Disney Plus? You pay for it.
Yeah, but Netflix doesn't threaten to throw me in the slammer if I don't pay my £9.99 a month fee.
this is a non-argument. You know, how many people were jailed last year for the license fee? I think you'll find it's in single figures. It really is little old widows.
Well, I'll tell you what's worse. I'll tell you what's worse, John, is the BBC sending capita bailiffs round to old ladies' houses, knocking on their doors, 80, 90 years old, and saying, "Oi, Dorothy, you're going to go to jail," with threatening red letters if they've not paid the licence fee. I mean, that's terrible.
Where's your proof, Ben? Where's your proof? Have you got any old ladies who would appear? Where's your proof? You know, as I understand it, the idea of licence fee collection is going to be much eased up. You know, but however, let's discuss what's the alternative to licence fee and how do you get a better thing than the licence fee? You know, do you advertise? Do you get subscriptions? What do you do? And by the way,
subscriptions.
Yeah, all right. Well, I'm partially in favour of that.
BBC faces licence fee rebellion amid complaints of harassment of over 75s. An investigation by the Telegraph shows how official letters have been sent to vulnerable elderly people, threatening them with being interviewed under caution and a criminal conviction for non-payment. A 90-year-old grandmother in a nursing home after suffering a stroke, John, was sent a warning letter telling her to expect a visit from enforcement officers during the pandemic. And that's disgusting. It's thuggery.
There's only one thing wrong with that story. You know, according to the Telegraph runs 2 BBC stories every day. At least one of them is true. Lying. Come on. No, I'm not saying they're lying. I'm saying they're vindictive. But let's be constructive and find ways of financing the BBC that don't involve compulsion, that involve paying for the service. So you drag out the John Cleese thing from 10 years ago and get John Cleese on.
Let's forget Well, John Cleese had a show on GB News. Let's forget the Telegraph fake news. We can trust the BBC. They've got the reporting of the bombing of the Gaza hospital. Oh, no, they didn't. They've got the reporting of the President Trump's speech on January 6th. Oh, sorry, no, they didn't. They got that wrong as well.
You can't talk about it, as you know. No.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, if the right-wing press wants to attack the BBC, well, that's up to them. But, you know, the BBC now has a new Director General. Let's discuss constructive ways of financing the great British institution called the BBC. You know, as we know,
right,
GB News is financed by a billionaire, as you well know.
Yeah, well, good thing, because the people of Great Britain are benefiting greatly from it. They wouldn't know half about what goes on in Britain if it wasn't for GB News, so thank God for them. John, thank you so much.
I'm sure that's true. I mean, you've gone to the market, you found an audience. You know, that's the market. The market is an audience, right? And the BBC's found that as well. As I say to your viewers, watch Evolution. I think it's on Tuesday nights on BBC Two.
Right. I would if Chris Patten wasn't presenting it. All right, John, thank you very much. Appreciate it, John Mayer.
Brilliantly made. All right, we'll talk again, I'm sure, because the BBC story will run and run and run.
Yourself.
Yes.
Have a good week, John. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Let's get the thoughts of my panel, especially in London. Let's start with Paul Cox again. Paul, I'd like coming to you first. Nice and easy. What's your thoughts on this?
John,
what are you laughing at?
This is John. I genuinely love the fact when he comes on, he fights so vehemently for the BBC. I'm sure that's probably got something to do with the handsome pension he's getting every month from the BBC, but God bless him. Yeah, he didn't offer anything other than to say there's one show hosted by Chris Packham, who, by the way, has probably done a show about transgender swans. You know, the sort of stuff that nobody's really interested in, except the people that he's trying to appeal to. I don't know. We all grew up on the BBC in the UK, and the BBC was a fantastic media outlet for many of us. You and I, Ben, 10 years apart, but we would have had the same sort of childhood experience from the BBC, which would have been much less partisan in the 80s and 90s than it is now. There doesn't seem to be anything on the BBC for me. I tell you what, and even less so for the majority of the GB News family.
Well, OK. Well, I would say to John's point, what about the football? But Stella, any comments?
No, I completely disagree. I completely agree with John. I think that the BBC is a great institution, and you may say, oh yes, you know what, the BBC has a liberal bias or whatever. It is still, there is no way of reporting news without having some kind of bias, because there is always going to be an angle when you're reporting news. But the BBC is the most respected news agent in the world. It's one of the most acknowledged brands that wherever you are in the world, people may not even speak English, like my mother father, for example, her English is not particularly good, let's say. She lived in Greece, and yet she watches the BBC. I think that is amazing, and that is such soft power for the UK, because it is doing a service to the whole world, and I think that we should be treasuring it.
Yeah, I just don't. I agree with you partly. BBC was great when I was growing up. I just don't know why you have to threaten people with prison for not paying the licence fare, and it seems absurd. John has said fox hunting was part of our culture, but they still got rid of that. Time for the BBC to go subscription only and start advertising if they're having to penny pinch. I bet Ben won't read that out. Well, there you go, John. Bit of breaking news for you. A statement from the Vice President, JD Vance, just now has said we are excited to announce that our baby boy, Alec Neil Vance, was born this morning. Usha and the baby are happy and healthy. Usha being his wife, the mother of the child, are happy and healthy, and our kids are overjoyed to meet their little brother. Vice President Vance and Second Lady Usha Vance thanks medical staff at the Walter Reed National Military Medical Centre. The child is the firstborn to a sitting Vice President in over 150 years. Congrats to them. Is that 5 now, Matt?
To celebrate.
Yeah, well, good. What's that?
I was saying that's something to celebrate. 150 years since, like, we haven't had little kids in the Obamas, but they weren't little babies. You know, this is exciting.
Yeah, well, congrats to the Vance family, and obviously he's got a busy job, but, you know, look, being a father for him, I'm sure, is priority number one, along with being a great vice president. So, you know, look, obviously he's got a busy schedule, but, you know, this is very exciting news. There's no question that from all the remarks that he's made over the years, being a father is really important to him. He's done a great job at it.
Anything, Laurie, on that?
No, a baby being born is always a blessing.
It's a miracle. Thank the Lord.
Mazel tov.
Amen. Before we go, what are you doing tomorrow? Very quickly, 10 seconds.
Working. It's Monday.
You're working. Laurie, what are you doing tomorrow?
Working.
Paul, what are you doing tomorrow?
What are you doing then?
I'm playing golf tomorrow, Ben. That's what I do on a Monday these days.
Hey, that's a bit better. That's a bit better. Stella, what are you up to tomorrow?
I'm glued to my screen watching Prime Minister Andy Burnham and listening to all the exciting things that he will be announcing.
I think I'd rather watch Evolution with Chris Packham. I am going to... It's a day off tomorrow. I'm going back to Britain on Tuesday, so I'm going to pack my suitcase, tidy my apartment, and, get myself back to Blighty. Guys, thank you so much tonight. Matt, Laurie, Stella and Paul. But most importantly, thank you to viewers and listeners. I love you, appreciate you. Great fun being back in DC, and I'll see you when I see you, probably back in the UK at some point. Sweet dreams. Good night. Mwah.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's a little bit fresh out there for some of us first thing today, but it won't take very long at all for it to warm up with that strong July sunshine. But it will be a little bit cloudier compared to recent days. In actual fact, through this morning at least, there could be 1 or 2 light showers for some of us, particularly northeast England, running down towards the East Midlands, the Wash, and northern parts of Scotland will stay fairly cloudy through this afternoon too. Otherwise, though, the cloud will tend to break up, and there'll be some sunny spells actually for many of us by this afternoon. The most prolonged sunny spells for Wales, the southwest, and mainland parts of Scotland too, where we'll see temperatures climb up to around 23 to 26 degrees Celsius once again. So a very warm end to the day. For East Anglia, though, the southeast, the cloud might just about be thick enough even late this afternoon, just to bring the odd very isolated light shower, mainly in coastal spots, possibly also for northern England as well, but for many parts of Northern Ireland, central and southern Scotland, it will be a fine end to the day with plenty of warm sunshine. For the islands and the Highlands of Scotland, though, for Shetland and Orkney, here quite a lot of low cloud probably persisting through the day, and increasingly so through this evening overnight we'll see the cloud thicken further, so some longer spells of light rain and drizzle are possible. Otherwise, though, it'll be a dry night, generally speaking, with prolonged clear periods, and temperatures once again in the countryside could well fall down into mid to single figures. So it will be a widely comfortable night for sleeping. Temperatures in the towns and cities holding up at between 13 and 15 degrees perhaps, but certainly not anything particularly humid or warm. Now for Tuesday, it's going to be a fine day for England and Wales. Plenty of sunshine, sunnier day to come probably compared to on Monday in the east. Cloudier for Northern Ireland, 1 or 2 light showers pushing into the very far north, and more general cloud and bits and pieces of rain perhaps once again for the north and the northwest of Scotland. In the best of the sunshine though, temperatures into the 20s widely, and probably a warmer day in the south with highs of 25 to 27 degrees.
Today, clouds overhead. Total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very, very easy tonight on the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me. Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
We can allow.
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Here at GB News, we made a promise to tell your stories. And on the 6th of August, we're marking 5 years of doing exactly that.
Celebrate with us by having your say. Join in the debates live on TV and radio.
And meeting your favourite presenters across the country, from Leeds to Aberdeen, from Belfast to Barry Island.
Plus, join me in Essex for our biggest live show of the year. Scan the QR code or visit gbnews.com/celebrate. Terms and conditions apply.
The GB News audience is different, it's unique, because they see through the nonsense.
We want to debate with each other, we want to listen and maybe learn.
We have a chat. That's what we do. We try and have a chat.
They'll watch my programme while they're eating their tea, they'll watch breakfast while they're busy getting their kids ready for school.
We want to hear what matters to you, what is news for you.
And what's brought you out here today?
What are the biggest issues affecting this particular area?
The audience are the best thing about GB News.
Their friends, their family.
They're people who need to have their voices heard.
They're passionate about the channel, they're passionate about what they believe in.
The one thing about GB News is you get a chance to speak.
Talk to me about why so many people have gathered here today.
Do you want to say something back in return? The GB News audience is what makes GB News special.
It's incredible to see.
They shape our programmes, they shape our output, and they shape our channel.
That's what makes us the fearless champion of Britain.
Good evening, it's 9 o'clock. I'm Alex Armstrong. Tonight on the show, the latest asylum seeker madness. I'm going to reveal this shocking story as to why we can't deport a man who's already been deported once already. It is jaw-dropping stuff. Also, a massive expose on DEI paid for by you inside the police force across Britain. Some of it really does beggar belief. And
that the duly elected leader of the Labour Party is Andy Burnham.
it's the dawn of Andy Burnham, the King of the North, or the King of the Midlands if you're Scottish. He's going to become Prime Minister tomorrow. We're going to be speaking to one of his top allies live here in the studio. Plus,
when we came out of the EU, we took back full legal control.
Sorry, to stick with which your critics beat your old party.
Nonsense. Nonsense. I took back control.
You know, Boris Johnson doesn't think he's to blame for the Boris wave. Can you believe that? The former Prime Minister is now blaming civil servants.